Hello and welcome to East LA College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. My name is Ryan Osborne, joined by Albert Robles. We get set for Fullerton College visiting your East LA Huskies. As we get set for the opening kickoff, it will be Fullerton in their white and gray uniforms going from right to left. And on the other side, it will be the East LA Huskies in the all-black uniforms going from left to right. We'll have more on the uniforms and the specs in just a little bit. But as we get set, once again, Fullerton will be kicking off from right to left as Charles Villarreal will end up kicking away. On the left side, Antoine Kane is going to be one of the returners as this ball goes up into the air, and we are underway. East LA will receive at the 8-yard line. Picking it up, going down the left-hand side, and it will be Tanner Anderson who gets away from two, finally gets wrestled down at about the 37-yard line, and that's where East LA will begin their first drive of the day. So the East LA 35 begins things, again going from left to right. East LA currently a 1-1 record, looking to get back into the win column after a loss to Allen Hancock last week. 40-27 was the final as they jog back out onto the field. Dante Bell, the quarterback for the Huskies. 4 wide receivers set, 1 running back in the backfield. Bell taking a look. 4 down linemen for Fullerton College. Bell takes the snap. He reaches back, tosses to his right, almost picked off, as that one just goes outside of the outstretched hands of Victor Rodriguez. Rodriguez out there joined by Kobe Davenport on the right side. Left side is Lamont White, and he'll also be joined by David Torres. In the backfield is Brandon Hedon. So Lamont White out wide to the left. That's towards the top of your screen. Bell is going to take a look from the gun, 5 yards back at the 30. He takes a couple steps back, fires down the middle. That one just goes past Kobe Davenport, so it's 0 for 2 to start things off for Bell, who has a very prolific arm. If you watch his warm-ups and watch the way that he ends up trying to lead his receivers, it's always going to be either directly in front of them or it's going to be a power ball that lands right into their hands. He makes sure that he gets those line drives in. That's his specialty when he ends up tossing the football. Bell takes a look at the sideline. No score just underway. About 17 seconds elapsed in the opening drive of the game. Back into the gun he will go. On the right, he has Brandon Hedon. Hedon takes a look. Again, 4 down linemen for Fullerton. Takes a couple steps back. Now steps up into the pocket, and he is sacked. The defensive line for Fullerton College is able to get to him in time. Getting credit for the sack will be Damian Bergueno. And Bergueno gets the first sack of the game for Fullerton College, and East LA will have to kick it away. So no yards gained overall in the first 3 downs. Then you get the -2 there, and they will end up having to punt. Karobi Parker Pinto kicks it away, just does get it away. Ends up going high into the air, will land at the 42-yard line, takes a Fullerton hop, and it will finish its bounces at the 44-yard line. So Fullerton will take over their first drive of the game, and you are watching East LA College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So again, I'm Ryan Osborne, joined by Albert Robles. And Albert, you've seen East LA College this season. When you take a look at East LA, one thing that you can notice about them is that they have a very active and athletic defense.
Absolutely, and for East LA, they're still kind of figuring things out program-wise. Of course, their former head coach, Coach Godinez, Coach Bobby, he stepped down. He's still the athletic director for East LA, but he kind of stepped back from head coaching duties. New head coach for your Huskies is Artie Robles. No relation, just happens to have the same last name as me. He did get, a win in the first week of the season, but of course had quite the loss to Allen Hancock. But, they are a team they've beaten before, but Allen Hancock, they're a little bit on the up and up here, but still a lot to work out and a lot to figure out for new interim coach Robles.
First play of the game for Fullerton College, which started at their own 44-yard line, will end up being a run for 2 yards by Elvis Vacapuna. Josiah Jarrett takes it back, gives it back over to Vakapuna, tries to find a little bit off tackle on the right side. He gets right back to the line of scrimmage, and that will make it a 3rd down and 8 to go.
Yeah, Tremel Isaacs was pretty much chasing him down the entire time. Couldn't quite get a hold of him initially, but eventually brought him down.
So 3rd down and 8 to go. Fullerton from right to left. We mentioned the aesthetics for both of these two teams. Fullerton College in their white uniforms with blue numerals outlined in gray. Their pants in gray and the white socks as well. Stepping back into the pistol will end up being Josiah. He takes a look off to his right, fires it over top of Xavier Hicks, and that will end up being an incompletion. So Fullerton will also go 3 and out to start off their opening drive of the game, and they'll have to kick it away as Villarreal is going to end up backing his way over to his own 32-yard line. Takes a couple steps back. He'll be right about the 30. Couple back for East LA, one of them being Dalen Story. So you have a guy up high as this one is going to be kicked away by VRL. Everyone takes a look. Story's going to block. Coming back for it is Kalik Johnson. He'll end up letting that one bounce, and it takes a very friendly Fullerton College bounce in this case, and it will hop its way down to the 6-yard line. So the Huskies get their second chance at the ball. Coming up in just a couple of moments. No score between Fullerton College and East LA. With 12:24 left on the clock, you're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So East LA gets their second opportunity of the game. As we mentioned earlier, the starter is Dante Bell. He's joined by Lamont White and Victor Rodriguez, Kobe Davenport, and David Torres. Those are going to be your skill guys on the outside and in the backfield, as Hiron will reprise his role in the backfield as well. Here's Bell taking a look. Play action pass goes over towards the left, fakes the handoff actually, and it will end up being incomplete on that left-hand side. Victor Rodriguez not able to get to that one, just a shade low. And Rodriguez is going to take a seat, and Demai Potts will enter for him. So out far wide to the left, towards the top of your screen is Lamont White. Near side of your screen is Kobe Davenport. In the slot on the left-hand side of it is David Torres. And just off the line on the right is Demai Potts. Taking a look is Bell. Everyone shifts on the defensive line. Bell drops it for a second, has to get rid of it. He fumbles, it goes out of bounds. And the ball, will it be an incompletion? They do rule on this near side that it was an incompletion. The back official is going to say that he wants to confer first, and they will officially rule it is, in fact, an incompletion. So, Albert, there you have Bell, who has to get away, had a little trouble with the snap, but as he's going forward, is able to get the ball out, which allows them to not end up losing the football.
Yeah, you know, managed to somehow handle the high snap one-handed, ran off to his right side, and you thought, you know, for a second, oh, like he clearly flung us out and I couldn't fumble, but no, he was somehow able to keep his composure and actually throw it out of bounds for an incomplete pass.
And off guard to the right, it goes to Hiron. He gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that makes it a 3rd down and 11 to go. Make it a 4th down and 11 to go, and it will end up being a punt for East LA. So East LA will find themselves with a couple of 3 and outs to start things off. Again, they have the offense to be able to go toe-to-toe with Fullerton College. So this drive started at the East LA 6 and ended up going back a yard. This one is kicked away right side. Gets to about the 39, where making a fair catch will be Kavion Bills. And Bills gives pretty good field position to the Hornets as Fullerton College will start inside the East LA 50. No score between East LA and Fullerton with 11:27 on the clock. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So Fullerton College comes back out. This time, instead of starting on their own 44, they will end up getting it at the 39 of East LA. And going back to reprise his role at the quarterback position is Josiah Jarrett, It's his first start of his collegiate career at Fullerton. Hands it off. This goes off the guard on the right-hand side. Handoff goes to Justin Honor. And for Honor, the 5'10" sophomore out of Rancho Verde, he's able to get about 5 yards there, and it's now a 2nd down and 5 to go. Fullerton in the past, where they have had their success, is making sure that they run the ball early, which sets up the pass. Now, if you're the East LA side, those 4 guys along the defensive line are going to have to be good. Great anticipation there, and breaking through to make the tackle will be Zachary Camarena. A beautiful job of anticipating the snap. He gets right on through. He's got a tackle for a loss, and it's a -5 for Fullerton College. Albert, you watch Camarena come up to the line. He had momentum, and he was in the backfield before that handoff even started.
Absolutely, and Isaacs is right there in tandem with him, getting the credit on that sack a little bit too. Great defensive awareness by East LA on a crucial down given the field position for Fullerton.
So Fullerton got a 5-yard run to start. Now all of a sudden they end up marching back 6 yards. It's 3rd and 11. Here's Jarrett. He takes a look, fires to the right side. It is out of the outstretched hand of his wide receiver and Desmond Duffy, and Duffy will see that one go away. Incomplete pass. It's 4th down and 11, and Fullerton is going to punt. So, Albert, you take a look at both these two offenses. They've each had the ball twice in the first, well, under 5 minutes of play, and neither of them able to get that first down that they seek.
Is still working through the motions. We'll see how their rhythm falls into play in the remaining 10 minutes of this first quarter here. And an interesting decision to really punt it, because I guess their place kicker doesn't quite have the distance to hit this particular mark. You got to do what you got to do here.
Here's VRL. This one sidewinds its way over towards the 11. It's going to take a very friendly Husky bounce, and it will end up going down at just about the 12-yard line. So East LA will take over from their own 12 as you are watching East LA football with 10:02 on the clock and a no score between Fullerton and East LA. Once again, East LA football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Brian Osborne, Albert Robles joining you live here from Weingardt Stadium on the campus of East LA College. And the offense for East LA comes back onto the field, trying to improve on things. They have punted on each of their last 2 possessions, and Bell is going to go back out there trying to change that. 4 wide receivers set. Got a guy in the backfield. Fakes the handoff, option play, he'll take it himself. He slides after a gain of about 2.5, and that's going to make a 2nd down and 7 to go. So Bell gets positive yardage. And interestingly enough here, Albert, for both these 2 combined offenses, just to show you how good the defense has played for both sides in the early going, that's just the 2nd play for positive yardage between both these 2. So David Bell trying to improve on that.
And we'll see if East LA can kind of keep up and build on some momentum here with that positive yardage. And, you know, credit to Fullerton on their last possession for that actual punt. Pretty much pinned East LA to the exact same position they were on their previous drive. We'll see if East LA can actually escape that.
Bell looking for that jump ball near side. He won't end up finding it as that goes the way of Kobe Davenport. But Davenport was held, and it's going to be a penalty against Fullerton College, which gives the first down of the game, and it will go to the East LA Huskies. In coverage there was Mo Gamage. Gamage going back just got a little bit too much of the jersey, and it ends up being a penalty against Fullerton. We're waiting for the official call, and there it is, a hold against the defense, so they will mark it from the original line of scrimmage. So a 10-yard penalty against Fullerton College. East LA has a first down here.
First down of the game comes on a penalty. We'll see if East LA can make the most of it.
Three receivers set on the left-hand side, 1 guy on the near. Tanner Anderson takes a look, left-hand side. He gets the ball and gets smacked there. Instantaneously anticipating that was Bryant Meredith, and Meredith lays a big hit on the left-hand side. It goes as a completed pass. So making the catch there for East LA was Tanner Anderson. And credit to him there, Albert, because he's able to hold on to the ball in what was a pretty crushing hit.
Absolutely, and we can hear the crowd reaction like they want a flag, but that was just a hard, clean football hit on behalf of Fullerton.
So that takes them back about 6 yards, and now it's 2nd down and 16 to go. Actually make it about 15 from the 22-yard line. Bell ends up with a little miscommunication as he brings the ball himself, and he will end up falling for a little bit more negative yardage. And now you're looking at nearly a second, or make it a 3rd down and 20 to go. So ball gets placed at the 18-yard line. They will call it 3rd down and 16 officially. And actually, they do change it, so 3rd down and 20.
Usually takes a second.
3 receivers set near side. Bell back in the gun. He wants to step up. He's going to take off himself. A lot of space at the 20, 25. Go to the 30. Finally does get pushed out of bounds at about the 34-yard line. It's a lot of yardage gain there, but it's going to end up being about 4 yards short of the marker that he needed. So the punt team does come back out for East LA College, but Albert, right there is a big play, exactly what you need if you want Bell to get into a rhythm.
Exactly. It's not the yardage that they needed, but it's definitely it's not the yardage that they wanted, but it's definitely the yardage that they needed to at least get some better field position and give your punter a chance to pin Fullerton back.
So stepping to it will be Anguilla. Andrew Anguilla gets the snap. He'll kick it away. That ball, lots of top spin, high spinner, takes a East LA bounce, where we'll go all the way to the 31-yard line. And that's going to give Fullerton the ball, and they will start once again at their own 31. And with 7:40 on the clock here in the first quarter, still no score between Fullerton and East LA. You're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So earlier you mentioned it, Albert, this defense extremely active. You talked about the big hit that they got in the backfield earlier as well. If you're looking at it, so far this defensive front has done a good job.
Absolutely. Like you'll see like Isaacs running around. Potentially, hopefully, we'll hear his name being called out today, but Fleischhood also a player to look out defensively. He came away with a really critical interception back in week 1. Really good defensive-minded players here for East LA.
Josiah Jarrett ends up taking that one himself after a couple guys went after Elvis Vacapuna for the tackle. 3 yards gained on it, 2nd down and 7 yards to go. Near side, if you're watching it from the Fullerton College side of things, 3 different receivers. Elvis Vacapuna in the backfield, and 1 lone receiver at the top of your screen. Logan Lester near side, taking a look. Here's Josiah Jarrett. He's going to go on the cross, tries to find a guy in Xavier Hicks, and it goes to the ground directly below him. So a 3rd down and 7 yards to go. Hicks on this near side of the field. He's also joined by Lester. And they're going to get a brand new receiving core out there as Fullerton will go into a different offensive set. Staying out there near side of the field is Logan Lester. He's also going to end up being joined by David Wagner. Wagner, the tight end, left side of the offensive line. Also joined by Kavion Bills. Josiah Jarrett in the backfield. 4 down linemen. Make it 3 down linemen for East LA. They only bring the 4. Here's an opportunity for Jarrett to get away, but he is taken down in the backfield. He's actually going to end up gaining a yard out of it, but great anticipation by Tremel Isaacs as Isaacs is able to come in from behind in the backfield, and he will force another 3 and out for Fullerton College. So just what you were talking about with this defense.
Exactly.
They've got some players, they got some athletes, and they force a 3 and out.
Tremel Isaacs, like he's very speedy, knows how to get around, work the actual line a little bit. And, of course, Camarani, he had a big sack earlier, too. And, you know, those 2 players, they're going to do their darndest to make sure that Fullerton has as many 3 and outs as possible. Viorel
going to have his 3rd. This will be an offsides call going against East LA as they jumped it just a shade early. Fair catch is called, but we're going to get a penalty coming up here in just a couple of moments. So you end up taking off 5 yards from that. That's going to make it a 4th down and 1. And if you're Fullerton College right now, I mean, Albert, the thought has to at least go through your mind, do you go for it since you're closer to midfield?
We'll see what the Hornets want to gamble with. It's definitely worth a try, especially given their actual field position. We've yet to see what East LA has been able to do offensively this game because, of course, the Hornets defense has been able to keep the Huskies at bay. It could be worth the gamble to try and go for it on 4th and 1. We'll see what the decision actually is.
They end up bringing VRL back out, so even with the penalty, Fullerton is going to end up kicking this one away. A couple of deep backs for the East LA College Huskies over to our left. One of them being Dalen Story. Snap is back. VRL puts a boot into it. High sidewinder that goes over to the 32-yard line where the catch is made by Kalik Johnson. So the 32-yard line is where East LA will take over. And with no score between Fullerton and East LA, both these two teams trying to get it going offensively. 5:48 left in the first. Again, 0 score between Fullerton and East LA. As you are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So Bell's going to go back out there in the backfield over to his left. It will end up being Tanner Anderson. Anderson on the near side is Kobe Davenport. 3 receiver set on the far side with Lamont White being the furthest wide receiver. 4 down linemen for Fullerton. They usually go into a 4-3 set. Bell is going to take a look. He'll take the snap. He's looking left, looks for an opportunity, does find a guy, and that will be brought down after about a 3-yard gain. And East LA is going to get a catch and a reception made by David Torres. So Torres makes it a 2nd down, and we'll call it 7 to go. Clock winding down towards the latter stages of this first quarter. Both these two teams not really going to anything of a hurry up or a quick offensive style. Fullerton has been more of that type of team in the last, we'll call it 10 years or so, but not going to that today. Lots of different things offensively. Is bouncing off of one, getting away is going to be Anderson. He's in the clear. He's at the 50, the 40, the 30, the 20, 10. No one's going to catch him. You can wave goodbye. Touchdown, East LA. There will be a flag on the far side of the field at the 41-yard line, and it may take it away. It does indeed. So what would have been a 64-yard touchdown run ends up being wiped away, and it will be holding on the offense. And East LA, oh so close to getting a huge play there, Albert.
Yeah, an unfortunate penalty. Clearly it happened right past the line of actual scrimmage. That's going to set them back just a little bit, but that would have been a huge momentum boost for the Huskies. But unfortunately, penalties can ruin so much.
So it goes against Lamont White on the far side of the field. And the new line of scrimmage will be the 32-yard line. So this drive started at the 33, moves back now a yard, so it's 2nd down and 11 to go. Tanner Anderson, that would have been the longest touchdown run of his collegiate career. 3 receiver set near side, White on the far side. Rodriguez down towards the bottom of your screen. Snap is taken, option is there. Here's Bell, he's going to take it himself, and he ends up getting tackled and wrapped up by Ethan Charpentier.
Yeah, Hornet defense all right through that fake handoff play and just eat up Bell.
So Charpentier ends up getting the tackle. And it ends up being a loss of 1, so 3rd and 12 coming up. The line to gain for East LA will end up being their own 43-yard line. Currently ball placed at the 31. So 3rd and 12. Even split between receivers. 2 on the far side of the screen, 2 on the near. Bell goes back, looking for a guy. Looking down the middle, gets pressured. Flushed out of the pocket, trying to get over towards the 30. Gets to the sideline. reaches out with the ball, trying to get back to the 31, ends up losing a yard on the play, and East LA will have to jog out the punt team as it will end up as a 4th down and 13 to go.
Yeah, Bell almost thought he saw daylight for a moment, but then a Fullerton defender popped out of nowhere on the far side as he was rolling out, and he's, oh, I'm not going to get any more yardage, and quickly stepped out of bounds, and rightfully so.
Kavion Bills is going to be the guy to receive for Fullerton College. He's standing at his own 35-yard line. Anguilla gets the snap. He'll kick it away. Pops into the air. End over end. It goes over towards the 42-yard line, where it will be a fair catch made by Bills. And that's where Fullerton College will start off their 4th possession. So it will be placed at the 42. And with 3:24 left to go in the first quarter of play, no score between Fullerton College and East LA. You're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Don't forget that all home games here on on SportsNetUSA.net will be brought to you by SportsNetUSA.net. East LA home games. Of course, Albert, as you have been familiar with this team for quite a while now, you see the ebbs and flows of this program. Like you mentioned earlier, you have an interim head coach, but the great thing about that is the fact that everyone is still very familiar with the program and the system.
Absolutely, not a whole lot of changes made, but there's still just a lot of...
Here's Vakapuna. He ends up running over a guy at the 42-yard line. He's in the clear just for a moment. He'll get himself all the way down to the 33-yard line of East LA. That's a big gain of just over 25 yards. So that's the first down of the game that goes to Fullerton's way.
Or at least first non-penalty first down.
Snap is taken. Vakapuna off tackle on the right-hand side. He ends up dragging the pile with him. He'll gain about 4.5 on that one. And it will be a 2nd down and 5.5 to 6 from the 29-yard line. Different receiver set coming in for Fullerton. Jabri Bevenu on the near side of the field. Far side of the field will be Logan Lester. No Cartagena tonight for Fullerton College as a flag comes up, and it will end up being a false start against Fullerton College with 2:19 on the clock. Fullerton College trying to continue their offensive set with no score here in the first quarter of play. Sun starting to set over to our left. Weingardt Stadium beginning to be bathed in shadows. So 5-yard penalty against Fullerton. It's now going to make it a 2nd down and 11 yards to go. 2 guys in the backfield, one of them being Elvis Vakapuna. 2 receiver set far side. Handoff over towards the right, making a guy miss and nearly getting past everyone will end up being Justin Honor. And for Honor, he ends up getting about 8 on the play to make it a 3rd down and 3 to go. Albert, he was oh so close to breaking that one free. All he needed to do was beat the free safety, and he was on his way.
Yeah, he got dragged just a little bit across the jersey. Luckily, that didn't go down as a penalty for East LA, but every little inch matters when it comes to stumbling and bumbling across their way down the field.
Here's Jared. He takes the snap. He gives it to Vakapuna. Vakapuna pass 2, pass 3, ends up getting a toughly gained 5 yards. Make it 6. And down at the 20-yard line for a 1st down to Fullerton College. So Fullerton gets a couple of 1st downs on this drive, and this is the first one for them that has not ended up in a punt situation. 1:05 on the clock left in the first quarter of play. Josiah Jarrett getting his first start for the Hornets. He takes the snap, takes a look to his right. He's going to hand it off to Honor. Honor gets crunched by 2. Tackle is officially going to end up being credited to Dalen Story. Story, nice job to get there in time and prevent any additional yardage. It's a gain of 6 on the play, and it's a 2nd and we'll call it 4 yards from the 14-yard line. So 2nd and 4 from the 14. Fullerton College now inside the red zone. East LA trying to prevent things. Tremel Isaacs taking a look. Lots of contact there. And a penalty flag will end up coming flying out. So initially, it was going to be motion against Fullerton College. But getting into the backfield was Zachary Camarena. And Camarena runs into Josiah Jarrett. We'll see what the White Hat has to call on this play. 28.9 seconds left on the clock. So false start on the offense. After which a personal foul going against number 6, Zachary Camarena. And it will end up being a automatic first down thanks to the personal foul. So it was initially going to be a 5-yard penalty against Fullerton College. They were going to mark it back. However, thanks to the personal foul call, they have to mark back the 5 yards initially, then go a forward 10 after the personal foul. Camarena gets into the backfield, gets a collision with Josiah Jarrett, knocks him to the floor after the play is over. Nothing about intent there. It was just his momentum was carrying him too far forward to be able to come to a full stop. And it is now a 1st and goal for Fullerton College from the 10-yard line. 28.9 left to go in the first quarter of play. Josiah Jarrett in the backfield. He's also going to be joined by Honor. Far side of the field is Logan Lester. Near side of the field is Bills. He's also going to be joined by Aiden Bravo. Snap is taken. Jarrett over to Honor. Stuffed there by the defensive line of East LA. Beautifully done there by Camarena. So Camarena just a few moments ago gets the personal foul call, but then he turns it right back around and is able to stuff the rush attempt for a gain of, we'll say, about a half a yard. So a 2nd down and goal to go for Fullerton College as we get set for the 2nd quarter of play. At the end of 1, it is no score between Fullerton and East LA. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne joined by Albert Robles. And Albert, as the first quarter comes to a close, we see both of these two defenses handling what they need to do. You talked about it earlier. They've got athletes on the East LA side of things. You look at Camarena there just a few moments ago. Yes, you get the personal foul call, but the way that composure works and the way that experience works is you shake that off and you immediately get a defensive stop.
Absolutely, and Camarena is that type of player who's going to be aggressive, sometimes too aggressive, but he will make it up to you in other ways, just like he did right there, and getting the actual stop when they need it. We'll see if they can do it another couple times here, and hopefully keep the Hornets to a field goal.
Camarena, the 6'2", 225 sophomore out of Damien High School, and it's like you mentioned, right? He has the ability and the option to be that guy for the defense that if they need a big play, they can go to him. When you've seen East LA over the last few years, it almost seems like where they have success is when they do have at least two guys on the defense that can go out and get that special play when they need a big stop.
Absolutely, and I think for this particular team and what they have right now, those two guys would be Camarena and Isaacs.
So Fullerton gets set once again for a 2nd down and goal to go. Vakapuna on the left-hand side. He's going to get stopped there. Getting to him first is Tremel Isaacs, and Isaacs stops him for a -2. A loss of, actually, they're going to call it 3. Makes it 3rd down and goal to go from the 13-yard line. And that's a huge play there by Isaacs. You're looking at both of these two linebackers here for East LA being the two guys that they can rely on in this one to this point. Under 14.5 to play in the 2nd quarter, just underway in the 2nd frame. No score, Fullerton knocking on the door. They've got a 3rd down and goal to go from the 13-yard line. Josiah Jarrett into the pistol. Fakes the handoff. He'll move it over to his left. Getting a stop there is East LA once again. That ball goes over towards the left to Jordan Gatewood. Gatewood makes the catch, but he's immediately wrapped up by Roberto Ceballos. and Ceballos makes the stop, and East LA is able to hold. So, Albert, the defense once again on their 4th opportunity of the game, they are able to stop Fullerton College from getting into the end zone.
Yeah, sometimes all it takes is just to bend, not break, to keep your opponent out of the end zone. They did exactly that.
This will be a 37-yard field goal for Villarreal. Snap is taken, kick is away, end over end, and it is no good, pushed wide right. So Fullerton College gets no points on their drive, and this is a drive that started on their own 42-yard line, ends up stalling right about the 13, and they don't get points off of it. So if you're an East LA fan watching this and going, you know what? Albert has already mentioned that the defense can play. He's already mentioned that the defense has these guys who can go out and make athletic opportunities. But now as a whole unit, you stop a drive that was starting to go downhill.
Absolutely. And now what you really need is just your offense to really work in tandem with that defense. It's like, all right, cool, like defense, you did your things. Offense, now it's time for us to step up. We got to help you guys out and keep the defense off the field for as much time as it possibly can, because we need to be able to put up some points against its Hornets team, whom, despite their recent troubles, is still a really good team stemming from the Orange Empire Conference. There's not a team that should be doubted by any sense of the means, even though they are working with a third-string quarterback right now.
So Fullerton from Orange County, of course, just a ride down the 91. This will be over towards the right-hand side, picked up. The catch is going to be made by Demai Potts. Potts gets just past the 20-yard line, and he'll get a gain of 1. That's positive yardage for East LA as they try and get themselves away from their own 20. The drive starts at their own 20, a 1st and 10. You add 1, make it a 2nd down and 9 to go. Near side of the field is Lamont White. In the slot on the left-hand side, and now taking a jog over towards the right is David Torres. Far side of the field will end up being Kobe Davenport. 2 guys in the backfield, one of them being Demai Potts, and the other over to his left ends up being Tanner Anderson. Anderson goes into motion, make that Brandon Hedon. There's a toss over towards the left. It's picked off. Fullerton College with the takeaway. And that is going to end up being an interception by Antoine Johnson Jr. So Antoine Johnson gets in front of that one, and for Bell, he would like that one back. It was on a line, Albert, and the receiver that he was looking for was the correct choice. Just ends up getting not quite enough of it when he makes the toss.
Yeah, just a great read by the Hornet defense there, but a really excellent job in stepping up made by Brandon Hiron to really come at that defender with full force and bring him to the ground with extra effort. Just a phenomenal step-up play.
And you mentioned that if he doesn't do that, he's got daylight to go with. So Hedon makes a big-time game-saving tackle in the early going here. Fullerton is going to take over at the 27-yard line of East LA. Run is there by Honor. He ends up getting past 2, breaks 3 tackles on his way to the 20-yard line. Little contact in behind the play. East LA fans and Fullerton fans both contending that the call should go their way. There is no flag there. And it will end up being a gain of 7 yards.
Some of the Husky faithful calling for a face mask on the actual play, but it'll be play on for right now.
Josiah Jarrett into the pistol formation. 3 receivers on his left. He's going to hand it off to Honor. Honor bounces off 2. He gets to the tackle. He'll get past the second line of defense, finally finds his way down towards the 5-yard line. A little bit more hands near side, and that's going to be a penalty against Fullerton College. Hands to the face will go against Jabri Bevenu as he ends up going one-on-one against Giovanni Welch. And Welch, if you're an East LA fan, you're happy with it because you look at Welch and you see him take a couple steps back trying to bait that penalty into happening. That's exactly what happens. Now the question is, Albert, was it just hands to the face, or are they going to come together and call more of a punch?
We'll see what the call actually is, and there definitely will be some time to debate as we do have an injured Husky down on the field. That's going to be number 21, Deldrick Madison. He was one of the Husky defenders that took that big hit from the Hornet running back. You see him as soon as he made contact, he's like, nope, immediately starts running towards the sideline. I'm not going to try to make a play any further. That's how hard this player was actually hit. He couldn't make it back to the sideline. Could be a bit of a shoulder injury because he just came off a little kind of gimpy on his left shoulder. Couldn't really move it a whole lot, but he's up and about, although back on the sidelines getting attended to.
Fullerton College does end up getting the personal foul call, so again, that goes against Jabri Beveneau. And for Beveneau, he will end up costing the team a total of 10 yards from the spot of the foul. That happened towards the 10-yard line on the near side of the field, so it will be a first down and 10 to go from the 20-yard line. And the reason why it's a first down is because it is a dead ball penalty. So it happens after the play is over. And now that's going to bring it to the 20-yard line. First down and 10 to go for Fullerton inside the red zone. East LA's defense trying to hold. Here's an opportunity to get into the backfield, and it will be an incomplete pass by Josiah Jarrett on the left-hand side. Heavy pressure being applied by Nicholas Romero out of Arroyo High School. And for Romero, Albert, you look at the way that he gets into the backfield, plain and simple. He gets low underneath the pads and drives his way back.
Absolutely, and, for the Hornet quarterback, he got lucky. Almost got taken down in a big way because, Husky defenders broke right through that line. Almost had his actual target made, but even then, Husky defenders all over his target as well.
So that line right now, consisting of Tremel Isaacs, joined by Romero as well. They're also being joined by Larry Thomas. They've done a pretty good job of getting not only just pressure, but making sure that that line of scrimmage is gained by East LA. A little bit of motion before that play goes off, and it will end up being a false start against Fullerton College. So a second down and 15 to go from the 25-yard line is coming up next. 11:43 on the clock, still no score between Fullerton College and East LA. Closest that either team has gotten to this point is a 37-yard missed field goal by Fullerton on their last possession. After gaining a first down, they are going back due to a couple of penalties. Kavion Bills is going to jog back out there, so you have Jared at QB. On the near side of the field is Logan Lester. In the backfield is Elvis Bacapuna and Kavion Bills. Far side of the field will end up being Jabri Beveneau, who's back in, and Fullerton College wants a timeout. So co-head coach Phil Austin wants to have a word with his offense with 11:17 on the clock in the second quarter of play. No score between Fullerton College and East LA. You're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne, Albert Robles over to my left-hand side. Albert, defense has been good. We have talked about it a couple of times, but if you're looking at things from the East LA defensive side of the game, as of right now, to me, the defensive line is shining.
Absolutely. We've had a few key sacks already made by Isaacs, made by Camarena. We'll see what the rest of the actual Husky defense can actually do in terms of our safeties. They really got to keep an eye on the Hornet receivers and make sure they can't break free for an open pass from the Hornets. And, I will, give credit to the Hornets. That was a really good timeout to be called. You've had two penalties, moving your offense back, especially when you're on a drive that just had you miss a field goal. You need to reposition yourselves offensively to kind of take into account this Husky defense and what they've been able to bring to the table so far.
Bernal is going to join on the defensive line after a substitution. Here's an opportunity to get into the backfield. Big hit there on the far side. It's an incompletion overall by Jarrett, but getting into the backfield will end up being Deldrick Madison. Madison is into the backfield before anyone can say, hey, let's take a look at this guy on the left-hand side.
And he seems to be moving around so far, considering he just took a big hit a few plays ago, so looks like he's feeling okay.
11:13 on the clock. Clock stops after the incompletion. And Fullerton with a third down and 15. East LA defense trying to hold them here. East LA with 4 linemen currently, 2 down, 2 up. Snap is back. Jarrett taking a couple steps back, looks over to his left to Vakapuna. Vakapuna has a guy. He's going to get away from 2, get away from 3. He's into the end zone for a touchdown. Fullerton College ends up getting a 25-yard touchdown strike. And all it is there, Albert, is Vakapuna takes a couple steps over to his left. He becomes the safety valve in that situation. It goes to him, and he breaks a couple tackles for a touchdown.
Easily the best play for the Hornets so far. And, like East LA has been really good on defense this whole game so far. Still only the second quarter. Hopefully that'll be the biggest play. Hopefully that'll only be the biggest play that the Hornets are able to pull off if the Huskies have anything to say about it.
So Villarreal nails the extra point, and that makes it 7-0 Fullerton College, as East LA's defense does an incredible job over the last 5 different chances that they have had to be on the field, but Elvis Vakapuna gets away from 2 and makes it a 1-score game. So 7-0 Fullerton College with the lead over top of East LA. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. 11:03 on the clock in the first quarter of play. And Albert, you were just talking about it a few moments ago. He ends up getting past a couple there. But if you're East LA, like you mentioned before, Fullerton, we know what their legacy is, right? They come into this game. Everyone knows Fullerton College in the last 10 years, couple state titles. They also have had an undefeated season mixed in there as well. But this year so far has been a roller coaster. If you're East LA looking at things, knowing that this is a team that comes in with a legacy and is a team that was ranked in the top 5 to start the season, they're now ranked number 12, you're in a really good spot here in the second quarter.
Absolutely. I mean, like with the talent and the program that the Hornets have, normally if you're East LA, you might be coming to the mindset, cool, like Fullerton's going to come in, they're going to steamroll us, but with recent performances by Fullerton, you now have that mindset of we have a chance, and now you just have to keep that mentality of we have a chance. With the way your defense has been playing, it's got to keep it up, and hopefully the offense can step up along with them.
Tanner Anderson will let that one go through the end zone. And the way that you do that is you have seen a lot of success with Bell whenever he's able to get himself running, right? You yourself mentioned it in the first quarter. When Bell has that option to run and use his legs, he does have a very good arm. He has a laser of an arm. He's able to dot a lot of eyes and get himself into tight pockets. But when he's able to use his legs in the option, that's where you see him have the most amount of success. He gets himself into a rhythm. If you can work that into the first couple of plays on this drive, you're going to start to see them go down the field.
And he was able to do it a few drives ago, but really couldn't quite connect everything together.
Athletic play to get away from 2. That ball is up into the air, and it will end up being incomplete at the 50-yard line. Bell trying to get away from 2. Pocket kind of collapsed on him, and he ends up having an incomplete pass, so a 2nd down and 10 to go from the 25-yard line.
And, right there, Ryan, was exactly the scenario that you're working about. Like, if he can get open, use his legs, he was able to do exactly that, breaks the tackles, avoids the actual sack, just couldn't quite get his arm for the man downfield. And, pass goes down as an incompletion, but, credit where credit is due. At least he didn't go down for a sack or throw up an interception like he had, a drive or 2 ago. So we'll see if he can continue to work on that, work on his routes, find his receivers, and 2, work on the actual handoffs. Because so far those handoffs really haven't gone for more than a couple yards.
2nd and 10, guys into motion. Here's the toss over towards the left, almost gets picked off, but does get picked up by Victor Rodriguez. There's a flag on the near side, and it ends up being a 5-yard gain. So the official plants it at the 30-yard line, but we do have a flag on the near side of the field. That was very close to being picked off and taken the other way, but nice job by Rodriguez to come back for that football and get positive yardage. Personal foul, face mask going against the defense. So that will be a 1st down going to East LA. So 15 yards gets credited to East LA. They will now be at the 45-yard line. And if you're East LA, you've got to get yourself some points on this drive. You got to get yourself not just points, but also momentum going towards the latter stages of the second quarter of play. 2 receivers on the near side of the field, 2 on the far side. Lamont White on the near side, Rodriguez in the slot on the right. Bell is going to take a look. He's going to motion a guy into or towards the right. That is Rodriguez. It's a handoff. It gets away from 2. Here is an opportunity to get past 3 for Brandon Hidon, and it's an 11-yard run for a first down. So East LA, just what we were talking about, you give Bell the opportunity to either take it himself or give it up to his running back, and Hidon goes off tackle to the left and gets himself a first down.
And that's exactly the type of opportunities that this offensive line needs to actually create. Because clearly, Hidon has the actual legs to make a run, as does Bell, but your offensive line needs to be able to create the gaps to give you those opportunities.
Snap is taken. Bell decides to take off with his legs, goes over towards his right, gets past 2, does get tripped up at the very end of it. Antoine Johnson, who had the pick earlier, gets to him just in time, because if he doesn't get the back heel of Bell, he's got an extra 15 yards to go.
Minimum at least the first down for sure.
So 4 yards gained on that one. Bell starting to get himself going and into a rhythm. He's got 4 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions so far this season. And the yardage is there for him as well. 2nd and 6 to go. 9:17 on the clock remaining in the second quarter of play. 7-0 is our score. Fullerton with the lead. East LA trying to drive. They went from their own 25-yard line now to the opposing 41. Bell takes the snap. He's going to hand it off. There's an opportunity for 1, make it 2. Getting past 3 is Camarena, or excuse me, that's actually going to be Brandon Hidone. And for Hidon, he gets himself all the way down to the 35-yard line, which should be enough for a first down. And it is indeed. So you get a 5-yard gain there to make it a first down, and this drive continues for East LA.
Another excellent run by Brandon Hidon. We'll see how many more opportunities he gets, because clearly he's making it work right now.
He's got 2 carries on this drive for 15 yards and 2 first downs. Far side of the field is Davenport. Near side is Rodriguez, joined by Anderson and White. In the backfield is Hidon once more. Taking a look will be Bell. He takes the snap, takes a couple steps back, over towards his left. He finds his guy. It's going to be Aguirre. Aguirre gets past 1, but he ends up getting tackled for an 8-yard gain. So now you see Bell get himself into his rhythm. This is where he is at his best. He has multiple options that he can go to. He can use his legs to run to gain yardage. He can give it up to Hidon, or he can get those quick out passes that get positive yardage. And the East LA offense gets to get their gears in motion. So a gain of 8 there, and now it's a 2nd down and 2 to go from the 27-yard line. Snap is taken, given up. It goes to Hidon. Hidon past 3. He gets taken down at the 17, actually make it the 16-yard line, and it's another first down for East LA. So Hidon, once again, this time he is able to gain 8 yards on the play and another first down.
Hidon will come off the field for a little bit of a breather given the carries he's just did. Well deserved as well.
Last 3 carries by Hidon, 10 yards for a first down, 5 yards for a first down, and 8 yards for a first down. So the success is there when handing it off to Brandon. 7:10 on the clock in the first, or make it the second quarter of play. Here's Bell, takes a look. He's going to give it up to Anderson. Anderson working his way past the line of scrimmage, still on his feet, trying to fight for more. Then gets taken down at the 10-yard line. That's a gain of 7. So the positive yardage starts to stack up more and more for East LA. And you're watching this drive go from their own 25-yard line all the way down to the Fullerton College 10.
So we have an injured Hornet on the actual field, so we'll have an official's timeout.
.65 yards so far, having been gained by East LA. Our score with 6:52 on the clock in the second quarter of play. It's 7-0 Fullerton College. You are watching East LA football here on Sportsnet USA.net. So here on a very, well, it's not necessarily brisk, it's not cold, it's not hot, it's just a nice Southern California day here at East LA.
Absolutely, and it is a stark contrast compared to what it was 2 weeks ago when the game was also at 6 o'clock kicking off, and it was, I believe, 98 degrees at the time of kickoff with a humidity of probably about 65%. It was not fun.
You mentioned that, Albert, and I mean, for those who aren't Southern California natives, what we usually end up experiencing is about 1 week straight of absolutely unbearably high heat. And by high heat, we don't just mean 85 degrees. We're talking in the low hundreds to high hundreds, down where Fullerton was at the time. The day before that same game that you're talking about, Fullerton had a soccer game that at 4 p.m. it was 105.
Absolutely, and it was 105 that Saturday, and only got below the 100 mark maybe 30 minutes prior.
So you had that weather 2 weeks ago. Now as the days have gone on, it's gotten chillier and chillier. As of the start of this one, it's about 75 degrees, maybe just a shade less, and wind not necessarily there to speak of. And for the most part, that's what we're going to experience for the next few weeks or so. It doesn't start to get cold or chilly until later on in the season. So very different things that these student athletes are going to have to experience. As Bell takes the snap, he'll give it up to Anderson. And Anderson rolls past 3. He gets a gain of 6 yards on the play, and that's a first down for East LA.
Absolutely, and right now this offense for the Huskies is really just humming. Really good runs by Huron and really excellent runs back-to-back made by Anderson, who's getting those hits in contact and refusing to go down and getting those extra yards off contact.
Here's Anderson once again off the handoff. He jumps past 2. The leap is there. A gain of 3 yards. It's second down and goal from the 3-yard line. And Albert, East LA is right on the door knocking.
Absolutely. This is by far the best drive they've had all game, and they're looking to make the most of it and put points on the board.
Far side of the field, lining up is Davenport. He's got Rodriguez next to him. Near side is Lamont White. In the backfield is Tanner Anderson. In the slot nearest to the line on the right side is Aguirre. Snap is taken by Bell. Bell is not going to hand it off. He'll take it himself. He gets taken down for a loss of 4. So getting to him in time will be Sean Malcolm. And Malcolm is able to push it back by 4 yards. So instead of a third down and goal to go from the 3, it pushes it back to, we'll call it the 7-yard line, and it will be third and goal from the 7.
Not the worst idea for have Bell to kind of go off the keeper, knowing that they've been going with the handoffs there, but that defensive line really made the most of it by pushing through altogether. It's like, oh, we see Anderson, and we're just going to push Anderson into Bell. Prevents them from going into the end zone and even knocks them back those few yards.
4 down linemen for Fullerton. Bell is going to take the snap. He has Anderson. Tosses it over the middle. It's deflected twice, and it will end up hitting the floor. So East LA marches over 65 yards downfield, and they are going to have themselves a decision to make. Officials timeout here just for a moment, as there is some clarification between the East LA sidelines and the White Hat. On the left side of the field, there is an injured Husky over to our left, and that is why there is an official's timeout. So everyone is lined up for the field goal, not noticing that on the near side of the field, there is an injured Husky. And we're trying to get a peek at who that might be for East LA. Players on the field don't realize that there is an injury timeout on the near side, and there they go, as everyone is going to retreat to their own sidelines. 5:03 on the clock, 7-0 Fullerton College with the lead. You're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net.
Yeah, so that was Dante Bell, who was off on the sideline, now sitting on the trainer's table. So a little banged up. We'll see in what sort of condition he is for the rest of this game. Hopefully he's not in too bad of shape.
Looks like the field goal team is going to hop onto the field for East LA. Ball is placed at the 7-yard line. You add 17, it's a 24-yard field goal. See, I did that math right there. And the attempt will be made by Karobi Parker Pinto. Parker Pinto making sure that his alignment is good. He takes a look, gives the signal he's good to go. Everyone down, and that is going to be a penalty against Fullerton College. And it's an interesting set there, Albert, because you see the holder take a look at the offensive line who doesn't go into their set yet. They don't crouch. Then all of a sudden, right on their snap count, they all go at the same time, which forces Fullerton's down linemen to jump early, and they get the penalty. It goes against Fullerton College, and it produces a better position for Parker Pinto to be able to kick this one away. So ball now placed at the 4-yard line. You add the 17, that makes it a 21-yard field goal. Taking a look is Karobi. He's going to give that same signal to the offensive line. They all hop down in unison. Kick is up. Little chip shot. It's through. Field goal is good, and the points are on the board for East LA. 4:57 on the clock, and it is 7-3. Fullerton College with a 4-point lead. You're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So a drive that starts at the East LA 25-yard line goes all the way down the field, all the way down to the 4. If my math is correct, that should be about 71 yards, give or take. We'll call it plus or minus. And it ends in points for East LA. So, Albert, you were mentioning it, myself as well. Going into this drive, plain and simple, they needed points. Whether that was a field goal or a touchdown, East LA needed to get themselves on the board and build momentum. They did exactly that. They get 5 first downs, 1 via penalty, 4 via rushes. And all of a sudden, you're looking at that offense for East LA doing exactly what you were talking about, finding their spot where they can pick their options.
Absolutely, and like ideally you'd have liked to have seen the touchdown to tie things up, but with the way things have been going, with the way your defense is playing, with how Fullerton has been progressing so far, a field goal at this stage is a win on that drive. You just need to be able to keep things up. And of course, the real factor for the remainder of this game is of course going on down on the sidelines right now. Dante Bell still on the athletics, on the trainer's table, getting looked at. Pads are off. They're basically testing his kind of range of motion with his shoulders and his arms, seeing what condition he is in. Hopefully he's able to go for the rest of this game. Otherwise, it's going to be next man up for this Husky offense.
You mentioned the next man up. The other guy who also has taken a couple of snaps at QB has been David Torres, which is interesting because he is one of the wide receivers for this group. So you mentioned that next man up mentality. It's kind of going to be a question of who will we see, and since we are still early on in the season, this is your opportunity as a coaching staff to be able to look at your bench and say, all right, who is our number 2 and what do we have? Little Squibber goes over towards the 24-yard line, getting past 2, make it 3 will be Vakapuna, and Vakapuna will find himself downed at what the officials will say is the 46-yard line. So Fullerton College will take over with 4:51 on the clock in the second quarter. You're watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Our score, 7-3, Fullerton with a 4-point lead. We get towards the latter stages of the first half of play. Fullerton College and their offense finally getting themselves some points after a few drives that didn't end up going their way. This will start at the Fullerton College 46, as we mentioned earlier. 25-yard touchdown pass to Elvis Vakapuna. That is the only score of the game for Fullerton College to this point. Here's Josiah Jarrett. He's taking a look. It's deflected twice, pops off the helmet of one. And for Romero, he didn't realize that ball was in the air until it hits the dirt. If you're Fullerton College, what you're seeing on the field currently is not good news, as Josiah Jarrett is in pain, and he is going to have to be attended to by the athletic training staff for Fullerton College. So he backpedals, throws that ball, it gets deflected twice, goes off of Romero, and then after the play is over, he ends up having to be attended to by the athletic trainers. Real quick, Albert, we do want to give all the credit to the athletic training staffs from both East LA and Fullerton College. Continually, year after year, you hear about both of these two programs in athletic training that are some of the best in the state of California, if not the nation. When you look at student athletes and you see the successes that they have, I mean, you yourself have seen it, being up close with these athletes many times before. The athletic training staff is somewhat of the unsung hero for how well these student athletes do on the field. Absolutely. I mean, you know, you can do as much conditioning as you'd like, but really a lot of the big support is going to be those athletic trainers, which are the ones who provide you the guidance to kind of see where you are at physically, what condition you're actually in, and help you progress to get to 100% depending on where you are healthy. And, you know, like I've seen, you know, like the athletic trainer for East LA numerous times at many games. Like, she is almost at every single game, you know, that we do for sportsnetusa.net. Like, she is like a bright, bubbly personality, but she is very serious when it comes to her job. I've seen her joke around a lot, but when it's game time, she's out there ready to go, and she does an excellent job keeping your Husky team very healthy. So East LA sees what will end up having to be a QB change for Fullerton College, and here's where the intrigue comes in, because you and I discussed this before the game had started. Fullerton is going to have to go with no QB, and Elvis Vacapuna, the running back, will take the direct snap. He cuts back past two, gets tackled there, slammed to the floor, and a little bit of jawing afterwards there by Tremel Isaacs. It will be a positive gain going from the 46 all the way down to the opposing 47, and that will be a gain of just about 16 yards. So 16-yard run for Elvis Vacapuna, and Josiah Jarrett is going to be back on the field. He came out with a slight limp, but it looks like he's still kind of mentally ready to go. Probably not going to be a whole lot of mobile, but at least as far as the Hornets are concerned, he can at least still try and sling the ball. So Josiah Jarrett is back in there in the pistol. He hands it off, and immediately getting slammed there is Honor. And this time it is Camarena. Camarena goes right to the official and says, hey, I'm being held by the collar, but nonetheless, he makes an athletic play. That is his second tackle for loss in this one. Yeah, Camarena coming up huge on that particular play. So 3:40 on the clock and running in the second quarter of play. It's 7-0, Fullerton College with the advantage. East LA's defense trying to hold here and get themselves at least one more possession before the first half ends. Fullerton College kicked off to start the game, so East LA will be kicking off to start off the second half. Josiah Jarrett sends the guy in motion going over towards the left. It's going to be a penalty call against Fullerton, and it will be motion followed by a lot of contact afterwards. Romero not thrilled with the contact there, as getting to him afterwards is Riley Miller. And we started to see a little bit of chippiness there too from East LA, but Dalen Story, he quickly came in, you know, brought his team back. So clearly he's one of these guys, hey, you know, we're doing a great job. Great job by Story there to be a leader. Keep your guys in check. That's what you need to do in this crucial element of the game. It's something you mentioned earlier about Camarena, and you see the sophomore aspect of things where you see that leadership start to grow with guys who have already gotten starts at this level, where you get the opportunity on the defensive side of the football to gain momentum. You don't want to take it away with the penalty. Into the motion. Tight end goes right to left. Here's Vacapuna over the left tackle. He will get tackled there. Lots of contact near side of the field, and that will be a penalty against East LA. Personal foul will end up being given to Larry Thomas, and Thomas is going to be penalized along with the offensive line for Fullerton. So, and the helmet of Rivera Zamora came off during that contact with 74 of East LA, so he, while no injury occurred, does have to step off the field for the next play due to the collegiate rules. And not only that, but it's offsetting penalties. Both guys end up getting personal fouls on the play, so if you're East LA, you don't end up getting the loss on the play. You take out one of the offensive linemen for Fullerton. They got a sub. And now Fullerton College finds themselves with a third down and 15 to go from their own 47, or make it the East LA 47. Pistol formation, 2 near side, 2 far side. Jarrett taking a look, has to escape the pocket. A laser down the middle of the field. It's deflected twice, and it is incomplete. The East LA defense holds, and it will be a punt coming up for Fullerton College. And East LA, Albert, with 2:18 on the clock, has an excellent chance here going towards the end of the first half to get points.
Absolutely, and the Husky defense really stepping up, making the most of that defensive drive and really taking advantage of the absentee players. It sucks to have those injured players for Fullerton, but Huskies taking advantage of those opportunities and making the most of it.
Villarreal, high snap. He does get the ball away. This one kind of wobbles and takes a heavy Fullerton College bounce, gets past 2. It will be down right at the 5-yard line. So with 2:08 on the clock in the first half of play, it is 7-3, East LA with the lead over top of Fullerton College. You are watching East LA College football here on Sportsnet USA.net. And we'd like to remind you that all games here on Sportsnet USA.net, your leader for community college football. We got more coming your way in the upcoming weeks. Of course, East LA College football with Albert Robles, you will be able to watch online right here on Sportsnet USA.net, along with Fullerton College as well. If you like soccer, we've got plenty of soccer from Saddleback, from Cypress as well. So if you like community college athletics and you want to get more community college athletics, stay right here, tuned in to Sportsnet USA.net, your leader for community college sports.
And, of course, be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to get any and all notifications for East Los Angeles College sports, as well as Saddleback College sports.
Rush is there for Anderson. He's going to take it to, we'll call it the 7-yard line, a gain of 1 on the play. And the clock will tick down to the 2-minute timeout. Not the 2-minute warning, but the 2-minute timeout in college football, where the score is 7-3, 4-point lead for Fullerton. East LA trying to get on the board before the first half comes to a close. You're watching East LA College football. You're on Sportsnet USA.net. Albert, just a few moments ago, we were talking about Sportsnet USA.net and all the sports that are going on. You are a part of Sportsnet USA.net and that crew that goes down to South County. Plenty of games coming up here in just a little bit. So, not to mention, we have also talked about Cypress College. They've got soccer coming up. They've got volleyball as well. Don't forget that basketball comes up in the later months here of the year on SportsNetUSA.net. But, Albert, I was about to bring it over to you. Lots of sports and community college athletics on SportsNetUSA.net.
Absolutely. A lot of games, that we cover here on SportsNetUSA.net. We, of course, have, Husky football. We cover Saddleback football. We got Saddleback soccer. A little bit of volleyball action for both East LA as well as Saddleback. And I believe we do some Cypress volleyball too, if I'm not mistaken. Cypress soccer, we do that a lot. So a lot of sports that we support here at SportsNetUSA.net in conjunction with, Fullerton Athletics, Cypress Chargers Live is what they call it. I almost blanked out for a second. I'm like, wait, what do they call it? Chargers Live. We do a lot of different things to support the local communities and really highlight these outstanding student athletes.
So speaking of the student athletes, a gain of 6 there on the play by Hidon. East LA finds themselves with a 3rd down, and we'll call it just under 5 to go. So about 4.5. They will be at their own 11-yard line. They want to continue things with 1:35 on the clock before the half. Bell not in there, getting wrapped up instantaneously as Hidon. And we will see if a timeout will be taken by Fullerton College. It is indeed. So with 1:27 left. Now, mind you, what you were talking about, Bell didn't have the opportunity to go out onto the field. Brand new quarterback in being Michael Anderson. And with Anderson in, they hand it off 3 times. 1 goes for positive yardage, the 2nd as well. But the loss on 3rd down causes them to have to punt.
Yeah, unfortunate circumstance with the hopefully temporary loss of Dante Bell. Still currently on the sideline being attended to by East LA's athletic trainer. We'll see what we can actually do going out forward. But again, pads are still off. He's not up and about. Hopefully, we'll see if he comes back in the second half. But odds are right now, it looks a little unlikely.
So 3 snaps taken by Michael Anderson. And with 1:27 on the clock, it's going to be a punt coming up for East LA. And for the East LA Huskies, Andrew Margia out of Schur High School in LA is going to have to kick it away. And if you are Margia, you've got to put a good leg into this one. You can't let Fullerton College have good field position because, remember, they will get the ball coming into the second half of play. So Fullerton College lining up in a full send everyone type formation on special teams. They've got 2 guys in coverage, top right and bottom, or excuse me, top left and bottom right. But for the most part, if you're East LA, you've got to have good coverage on this because Fullerton is sending the house. .135 on the clock. Timeout was taken by Fullerton to stop the clock. They have 1 remaining in the first half. 7-3 is our score, a 4-point difference. Taking a look at the clock, there is Aguirre. Everyone down for East LA. Got to get a good boot into this one. If you're a Husky fan. He drops it. Ball is out of the end zone. He will kick it out. A safety for Fullerton College. Did they recover in time? Safety. So East LA gives up a couple of points to the last 90 seconds of the first half of play. And for Aguirre, Albert, we have seen it time to time. Every athlete has had this moment where you take a look upfield before you secure the ball, and it just pops out of his hands.
Yeah, just an unfortunate circumstance right there, especially given the pressure in the situation. Probably just came in there with the most negative mindset. And like you said, just looking downfield before he even had the actual ball. And of course, you know, fumbles it, goes out of the end zone. Safety for the Fullerton Hornets. But, you know, it could be worse. It could be worse.
And that's the thing. When you take a look at it, you do end up getting the safety. I will give him credit for the presence of mind to send that ball out. Because the other thing is, too, you let that ball go. You don't dive on it. You don't force it out of the back of the end zone. Fullerton had plenty of opportunity to pounce on that ball and actually get 7 points out of it. So instead, you kick it out of play. He forces that ball past the end line and causes it to be a safety. So it's 9-3, a 6-point difference, still within one score. However, the biggest thing is that now East LA is going to have to kick it away to Fullerton College with 1:23 on the clock. The ball will be placed all the way back at the 20-yard line.
And we'll see if this Husky defense can continue to hold up like they have been doing so. Get a quick shot here. We see Dante Bell on the actual sideline. So pads are still off, but at least he's up and about and mobile. So at least that right there is some positive news.
1:23 on the clock. And will it be Aguirre to kick it off? Doesn't seem like it, as it will be Karobi Parker Pinto, who had the 21-yard field goal earlier, as he is their normal kicker on place kicks. Parker Pinto checks with his coverage guys. This is going to be kicked away from his own 20. Booted. Ball into the air. Floats all the way towards the 27-yard line of Fullerton. Up and away it goes. Nice little return for the Hornets. Getting away is Lester. Lester to the far side to the 40. Finally gets taken down. It ends up being Parker Pinto, and there's a flag in behind the play. So for Fullerton, Jared Peters actually gets that one, and he returns it. It is a personal foul against East LA in behind the play, hands to the face, and it will be an additional 15 yards. So for East LA, Albert, they have had such a great job defensively against this Fullerton College team, but what has hurt them on each of the last 3 drives that they have had to defend is getting in their own way with the yellow handkerchief.
Absolutely. These flags are just really hurting any momentum that the Huskies had lined up for them altogether. And, you know, it could just be the frustrations of the whole game altogether, just kind of getting the most of them. You need to be able to kind of keep your composure and play right through it, because up until really like this second half of the second quarter, really things had been going your way.
No, you're absolutely right. As Jarrett takes a look, tosses towards the right side of the end zone, incomplete. Gets taken down, and he takes a look at the sideline, trying to get the call, 107. But just to your credit, it's like you said, you have the opportunity. You're right in this game. It is a 6-point difference, and if you hold Fullerton College here to no points, you have the opportunity to go into the second half only down by 1 score. A touchdown puts you in the lead. And well, of course, with the extra point as well, which is no longer given at the college level, but nonetheless. But the East LA defense has to hold here. Here's Vakapuna. Tries to stiff arm 1, gets contact into 2, and we're going to have a personal foul call in on the near side of the play, as Romero isn't thrilled that he ended up getting pushed to the floor. East LA coaching staff on the field wanting to contest. And we'll see who this goes against. If it's against East LA, that's going to be a tough one, as it will end up backing them up well inside their own red zone. White hat talking to the near sideline. Coach Robles not thrilled there. And it looks like it might go against East LA.
Yeah, number 74, Larry Thomas for East LA. You can see he was expressing his frustrations, saying that he was the one who's actually, getting called for the face mask, that it was, that he was the one whose face mask was being actually grabbed, and he takes off his helmet, going to the sidelines in frustration. It's not something that I think he, got away with it, taking his helmet off when you're still on the field. But, you need to be able to keep your emotions in check like that, because if any of the officials see it, it's only going to cost you that much more.
And speaking of costing, now Fullerton is at the 5-yard line, a 1st and goal. Fullerton trying to turn it into a 2-score game. Josiah Jarrett into the pistol. So far, Fullerton's only touchdown came 2 series ago on a 25-yard touchdown pass from Jarrett to Vakapuna. Vakapuna over towards the right. He's going to get the pass here. Gets past 2, gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Fullerton. So Elvis Vakapuna has the 2 scores for Fullerton College offensively, a 25-yard strike and a 5-yard strike, and that personal foul call, well, it comes back to immediately bite them as Elvis Vakapuna puts up 12 points on his own. So our score 15-3 with 52.5 left to go in the first half of play. Villarreal is going to come up to the line of scrimmage, take a look at his positioning, and put up the extra point attempt, which is up, and it is through. So 16-3 is our score with 51.6 left to play in the second quarter. East LA trying to get themselves back into this one. You are watching East LA College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne, Albert Robles here on the call with you live from East LA College, where the sun has set and the lights take over. But Albert, after having so many successful defensive stops, East LA, unfortunately, in this case, kind of gets in their own way over the last, we'll say, minute and a half. Now Fullerton College, not only with the lead, they're going to get the ball to start the second half.
Yeah, they really can't let the moment get a hold of them, answer pass, and they really just need to kind of come down, get back to their basics, and keep doing what they were doing at the start of the first quarter and in the beginning of the second quarter. Because it's really halfway through, once Dante Bell, came off with injury, that things really kind of started to come unloose. You need to really get back to what you were doing.
So Fullerton will kick it away. Villarreal is going to be the one to put a boot to it. 51.6 on the clock, and East LA, with all 3 timeouts, does have an opportunity here, but they've got to work quickly. And remember, just like Albert said, you don't have your starting quarterback in the game. It's going to be Michael Anderson who comes out here, or at least that's what it was on the last drive. Leg put into it, little wobbler, left-hand side, pops up, goes past 3. It will find its way into the end zone and through for a touchback. So if you're Anderson, honestly, Albert, that's kind of a wise decision there, because he had the opportunity to approach that ball and take it upfield, but because it's bouncing, it's taking a lot of time, which allows for the coverage team to come up closer. You let that ball go past you. It's not only a touchback, takes no time off the clock.
Absolutely. That's really just, the smart play. And, of course, it's going to give your offense more time to kind of figure things out, knowing you're not going to have a clock running on you.
So Michael Anderson hops back out there. He will have his second opportunity and a big-time chance for East LA to get back on the board to end the first half of play. Lamont White near side of the field. Rodriguez, Torres, far side. That ball gets away. It's on the ground, and does Fullerton have it? Officials are going to go and take a look. The Hornets are saying that they have it. Offensive line for East LA is battling for it. And the official is still taking a look. Big-time scrum. It is no signal yet. They are going to say that it is going to stay East LA possession. So if you're the East LA offensive line, big-time credit to them because they hopped on the ball and took it away. Initially, Albert, that ball was in the hands of a Fullerton College defensive lineman, and on the second opportunity to get to it, it's Stanley Robles who comes in and rips that ball away.
And really, great fortunes there for East LA, because that could have been just outright disaster. Because if the Hornets came away with that possession with 30 seconds left on the clock, and I believe they might actually put some time back on based off of when that whistle should have been blown, that would have, again, given Fullerton pretty much forever and a day, knowing they still have at least one timeout remaining to try and get another point back on the board and go up by more than 2 scores heading into the half.
Can I get 40 on the play clock?
30 seconds left on the clock. 16-3 is our score. 13-point difference. All 3 timeouts remaining.
The play clock, not the game clock. The play clock.
As the scorekeeper's just trying to make sure that everyone is on the same page. 30.1 on the clock is where it was. All 3 timeouts, like we mentioned, East LA.
30.1.
So it'll be 30.1 on the game clock, 40 on the play clock. That's where they were trying to figure out their confusion there, make sure the clocks are right on both accounts. And now clock is running, which it shouldn't be.
Well, the officials did motion for the clock to run down. And after some
but the ball hasn't been placed yet.
Just an interesting turn of events, we'll call it, as the game clock continues to wind. East LA is going to see it wind all the way down to the half. And that's going to do it for the first half of play. So our score is 16-3, a 13-point difference between the two. East LA has had their moments, and they look to get themselves right back in it in the second half. 16-3 our score at the end of 2 quarters of play. We're at the half. You are watching East LA College Football here on Sportsnet USA.net. Ryan Osborne, Albert Robles here at the half talking to you. And Albert, we've already gone over it a few times. Defense has looked good. They look good up until about the last 2.5 minutes of play in that first half. They start to step into their own way, and it starts to cost them as well. And if you are an East LA College Husky fan, you're watching things going, you know what, with the number 12 team in the state of California and a team that was ranked in the top 5 to start off the season, you're pretty happy with where you are initially. But there's plenty of opportunity to make adjustments and get yourself back on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and we'll see, of course, we'll try to keep an eye as best we can to see what the game status is for Dante Bell. Hopefully he's able to go. Odds are I don't think it's going to happen, so we'll see what adjustments can be made for Michael Anderson coming into the second half. And we got some scores here to see what is going on in the rest of the 3C2A here for football. So Sequoias defeated San Joaquin Delta 58-7. San Diego Mesa victorious over Golden West. They win 22-7, so San Diego Mesa moves to 3-0 on their season. West LA defeats LA Pierce 34-20. San Jose, they win their game 40-27 over Siskiyous. Apologies if I butchered that pronunciation.
No, you were spot on. Siskies.
Excellent. Foothill over Reedley, 17-3. Danza knocks out Hartnell. That score was final, 45-12. Butte over San Francisco. They win 30-14. So Butte now 3-0. Fresno City over American River. There are now 4-0 for Fresno City, 14-10 final score. Modesto over San Mateo. Little field goal victory. They won 23-20. Final at Palomar. Canyons victorious. They are now 2-1 on the season. They beat Palomar 26-7. Mounties defeat Allen Hancock 41-19. They are now 3-0. Santa Rosa and Contra Costa, that game unfortunately had been canceled. Riverside over El Camino right now, 21-17. That is your score at the half. Between Citrus and Grossmont right now, Citrus handily controlling that game over Grossmont. 34-7 is the score at halftime. Moore Park and San Jacinto, that game is 14-3 in favor of Mount San Jacinto at the half. Saddleback leads Antelope Valley 21-7 at the start of the third. Bakersfield shutting out San Bernardino Valley College 52-0 at the half. And Victor Valley trails LA Valley 20-29. About a minute and a half remains going into the half. In the second quarter, Long Beach leads Southwestern 14-0. Cerritos leads Ventura 19-14 at the start of the third. Santa Barbara over Orange Coast right now 16-0 at the start of the third. Glendale over Santa Ana 14-6 into halftime. Chaffey College currently really giving Santa Monica the business, 33-0 going into half. Chabot leads Cabrillo College 16-7 with 10:38 left in the second quarter. And that is all the scores we have so far for today's games. So a lot of action all across the 3C two-way.
And after a quick check of our current scoreboard, we've got some of the halftime stats so far. You take a look at both these two teams in terms of first downs. 8 first downs in favor of Fullerton. On the other side, 7 for East LA. Total yardage passing-wise is 11 yards for East LA. On the other side, it's just 30 for Fullerton College. Both these two teams, in terms of overall yards and offensive plays, 33 plays for 60 yards in total. 30 plays for 122 for Fullerton College. So both these two teams not necessarily having the offensive output that they would like to this point, but if you're looking at it from East LA's perspective, that last drive for Bell was exactly what you're looking for. You march nearly 71 yards down the field. You get points out of it, but now the question is, can Michael Anderson also step up and produce that same sort of product? You get that momentum going, you get that backup QB into a rhythm just like Bell was, and you're going to be fine going into the second half.
Absolutely, and looking at the statistics, like for third down efficiency, of the 6 third downs that Fullerton has had, only converted on 2 of the actual 6. 0 for 6 on East Los Angeles side, but converted 1 of 1 on 4th down. So there is a little bit of, imbalance there statistically speaking in terms of their efficiency on their downs, but clearly East LA able to convert when they can. It's just really on those third downs that they really have to focus on.
So as we go to the half, 16-3 is our score. When we come back, we'll have more halftime stats for you, a preview of the upcoming second half, and maybe even a little bit of a peek at the rankings as well in the state of California. Our score is 16-3 as we enter halftime between Fullerton College and East LA. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. And we welcome you back to East LA College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So we're getting set to finish off the halftime. Our score is 16-3. East LA with the lead over, or excuse me, Fullerton with the lead over East LA. East LA looking to get themselves back into it. We already talked about the first half and how it went, but as we continue to take our steps across the state of California, Albert, you take a look at the rankings, a lot of jockeying for position in the early going.
Yeah, absolutely, and these rankings are as of September 16th, and after we mentioned some of these scores that you've seen, or that I mentioned earlier at the start of the half, some of these positions are some of these rankings are definitely going to change. At number 1, we have San Mateo College. So they're number 1. Number 2, Mount Sac. At 3, we got Golden West. Number 4 is Butte, and number 5 is Riverside. So those are your at least top 5 schools ranked here in the 3C2A.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Well, I was going to mention those top 5. I mean, you listen to a lot of familiar names in the top 5. Teams like Butte, teams like San Mateo, teams like Mount Sac. But you take a look at things for East LA in the future going forward, you've got to play a bunch of these teams that are in the top 5 and top 10.
Absolutely. So it's not like, East LA doesn't see its fair share of talent, because there's a lot of talented teams that are within their own county, within their own conference, and, of course, just right across the way in the Orange Empire that they kind of occasionally get to see and occasionally get to actually play. So a lot of different teams that you get to see here talent-wise. Rounding out the top 10 at 6, we'll have Modesto, followed by Fresno at 7. San Diego Mesa, they're at 8. American River at 9. And at 10, we have Ventura College. Some of those teams a little bit undefeated at 2-0. Some of those, and I believe some of those are going to change if I recall correctly from the actual scoring. At 11, we have Allen Hancock. At 12, we have Fullerton, followed by Moore Park at 13, Canyons 14, 15 is Diablo Valley, 16 is El Camino, 17 Bakersfield, 18 Cerritos College, at 19 Citrus College, and at 20 Sacramento City. And then rounding out the rest of the 25, tied at 21 are Sequoias and Foothill, followed by Saddleback College at 23, Palomar at 24, and Santa Rosa at 25.
So you look at the overall rankings for everyone, this is an excellent chance for East LA to get themselves not only on the board in the win column, but a great chance for them to climb in the rankings and get that opportunity to be possibly even top 10, top 15, depending on how the season plays out the rest of the way. How you play against a top-level team and a top-level defense like Fullerton College really tells you how you're going to perform against those teams like a Mount Sac later on in the season. So for East LA, this is a really big second half for them. We already see the fact that their starting quarterback knocked out of the first half of the game, to be determined on if he will play in the second half, and we'll get you more on that as we go along. But if you're Michael Anderson in this second half, Albert, how do you kind of settle yourself in and get yourself an opportunity to get going?
I mean, you really just have to try and be a leader as best you can. Follow the example, that Dante Bell had set for the rest of the offense, and really just kind of piggyback off of that, and just hopefully your offensive line can pick you up as they had been picking up on those previous drives by really getting Anderson and everyone else into those motions and into those really good runs that they have. That's what you kind of need to adapt to.
So as we get second for the second half kickoff, East LA is going to kick off to Fullerton, because remember, Fullerton College ended up deferring to the second half. Michael Anderson over to our right is the one warming up. We do not see Dante Bell for the moment being. We will get you more on that as it continues to progress. But for the current moment being, on our right-hand side, Michael Anderson is the one who is warming up with the centers, and also the guy right behind him is going to end up being Sebastian Lopez. So 2 different quarterbacks warming up for East LA, neither of them being Dante Bell. So this will be an interesting second half for both of these two teams to see how exactly they're going to be able to navigate this second 30 of play. 15 minutes put on the board. East LA getting themselves in formation. As we mentioned before, they are in their all-black home uniforms, and they've got the almost stencil font numerals in white. Their helmets are in dark, almost a foresty type of green with the Husky logo on the side. So getting set to kick it away will end up being Karobi Parker Pinto. And back to receive will be Jared Peters. He's also joined by Kavion Bills. Parker Pinto puts a boot into it. High and deep, it goes all the way back to the 5-yard line. Kavion Bills back to receive. He goes over to his left. He gets taken down. Beautiful protection there as East LA is going to get to him just inside his own 30.
Yeah, Gabriel Gonzalez there on a really great tackle, preventing any further yardage. An excellent position for the Fullerton Hornets.
So 7 seconds gone, and now we're going to see the Fullerton College offense trot onto the field. And it looks like for Fullerton near side of the field, they're going to go with Aiden Bravo. Bravo will also be joined on this near side by Miles Brown, the 6'1" wide receiver out of Slidell, Louisiana. He goes in motion over to his left. Snap is taken. Jarrett, he'll hand it off to Vakapuna. Vakapuna muscles his way for 4, and he will get himself down to the 30-yard line for a second down, and they'll actually give him 5. So Fullerton College started off their drive at the 24-yard line, and the gain of 6 will end up being a second down and 4 to go. Vakapuna back into the backfield. He'll take a look over to his right. He will bounce off of 2, make it a gain of 3. That actually goes over to Honor, and Honor will have himself a 3rd down and 1. Fullerton College offense going from left to right in this 3rd quarter.
Vakapuna really being the catalyst for this Fullerton offense, just using that big, powerful body and those absurdly strong legs of his to just power for those extra yards and those first downs, as well as the first touchdown, well, the 2 touchdowns for the Hornet offense.
Fullerton going with a power eye as Vakapuna runs into his own offensive lineman, gets away from 2. He's got a first down, and he'll charge his way to the 46-yard line. That is a first down for Fullerton College, and he has another strong run to his credit.
Yeah, Timmy Fleischhood on the tackle, and a great tackle that was, but again, Vakapuna just using those big, powerful legs, just dragging Fleischhood along for about 2-3 yards.
So a gain of 16 yards on the play. And that's going to lead to a first down and 10 to go from the 46-yard line. Vakapuna right back to it. He gains 1.5 yards, make it 2 by the end of it. Whole group of Huskies there to take him down. Second down and 8 to go. This East LA defense has done a good job of forcing Fullerton College to not get as many opportunities as they'd like. Only 9 first downs for Fullerton in this matchup, which if you look at Fullerton historically, and especially after that Santa Barbara game, looked like an almost unstoppable offense. First drive of last week, also the same type of deal. They went right down the field and scored, but just couldn't get it going the rest of the way. Here's a chance. Wide open is Lester on the near side of the field, and Jarrett just floats it over top of him. Albert, the play action pass was there. It's tossed right over top, and if that is caught, it's daylight.
Yeah, that was an easy 6 for Fullerton if they could only had made that connection. And that was, I believe, the first pass made by the Hornets in this opening drive at the half here. It had all been straight handoffs by Alves Vakapuna.
So Honor is now in the backfield. Going to the near side will be Bevino. 3 on the far side of the field, receiver set-wise for Fullerton. 1 in the backfield, that's Honor. 2 down linemen for East LA, they bring 4. Toss over towards the left side, it goes over to Lester. Lester will make the catch. He'll gain about 6 on the play, and it will bring a 3rd down and 1 to go. And actually make it a 4th down and 1 And Fullerton isn't going to go for it from the East LA side of the field. So Villarreal is going to kick this one away.
And credit to Braylon Story there making the tackle, preventing that first down yardage.
Here's Villarreal. Boots this one high into the air. This is a good one. It's going to get all the way down towards the 5, make it the 3. It bounces through, and it is a touchback. So East LA's defense is able to force Fullerton College into a punt on their first possession of the second half. And with 11:35 to go in the third quarter of play, it's 16-3, Fullerton with the lead. You are watching Fullerton College and East LA on SportsNetUSA.net. If you're watching East LA football all season long, we will continue to be right here on SportsNetUSA.net. You'll hear Albert Robles all year as East LA continues to try and get themselves into a playoff spot towards the end of the season. But the way that they get there, they have to be able to get some points on the board against Fullerton College. Michael Anderson goes back in at QB. He's going to send Rodriguez going from left to right. Takes the snap, he'll hand it off. Running into 2 and getting tackled there will be Brandon Hidon. And for Hidon, he actually will be marched back 2 yards for a tackle for loss.
You know, we mentioned just now that, Michael Anderson is in at QB. And, Ryan, he is going to be the QB for the remainder of this game. I did receive word a moment ago that officially Dante Bell is out. Looks like it's a shoulder issue on his non-throwing arm.
So Anderson is going to be called upon, and if you're Anderson, so far this season he doesn't have any attempts prior to this game. Southlands High School Pasadena native, freshman 6'2", 185, is going to take the snap from the pistol formation. Hands it off. He's getting stuffed there for a loss of a yard. Will end up being Hidon. So now if you're Fullerton College defensively, Albert, you're watching this game and you go, okay, there's a backup quarterback. We can kind of sell out for the run, and if he's going to beat us, we're going to force him to do it into the air. Anderson getting the signal from the sideline. Clock winding down to just about 10 minutes to play in the third quarter. 13-point difference, Fullerton with the lead. They got a safety and a touchdown towards the end of the second quarter. Handoff, left side, trying to get over towards the edge, just getting there, but only getting about 4 on the play. Will end up being Hidon.
Yeah, Hidon getting just barely back to the line of scrimmage, maybe just a yard beyond that. But it's going to be a very unproductive drive for your Huskies opening here in the half.
It's a tough position there for Anderson to be put into as well. You look at it, you're going, okay, Bell has taken every snap so far this season. So it's not like you've got Anderson into playing time earlier towards the back half of games, but now you also have to change your play call style. How are you going to get him into a rhythm? How are you going to get him going the rest of the way? As this one is booted high into the air. Fire is called by Fullerton offensively, nearly dropped and finally taken down by Bills. It will be at the 47-yard line. So just about a 37-ish yard punt, we'll call it. And the ball will be down at the 47 of Fullerton College with 9:06. Make it 9:08 on the clock in the third quarter. 13-point difference, 16-3. Fullerton with the lead. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Fullerton offense trots onto the field. Jared Peters is now going to take over at running back in the backfield for the Hornets. Fullerton only up by 2 scores. This defense for East LA has done a fantastic job to this point. They're bringing in extra. Here's the opportunity. He gets taken down. It's a fumble. East LA has it, and Camarena will pick it up. A big-time play there by Dalen Story as he is able to get to Jarrett and force the fumble.
Jarrett a little slow to get up. walking a little gingerly, but he is up under his own power. And we do have an injured Husky on the play as well.
And that is a big-time play for East LA. Albert, they have been looking for that takeaway all night, and this is a great chance for them. It is unfortunate that you do have a Husky down, and we'll get more info on that coming up in just a little bit. But if you're East LA, you have the ball in Fullerton's side of the field. That is a huge play there by Story.
Absolutely, just like a big-time takeaway. We'll see if East LA is able to capitalize on this momentum shift, because their defense really has been the major story so far of this ELAC team today. That was Larry Thomas who was down, and he's up and walks off the field under his own power. So he looks to be okay so far. We'll keep an eye out for him as the game continues, but of course he'll be sitting this particular play out, maybe the next few plays.
So the East LA offense will take over. Fullerton had the ball for all of about a minute and a half. They took over at their own 46. It ends up being a fumble on the takeaway. And now East LA will have the ball at the 46.
You know, Ryan, if there wasn't pressure already on Michael Anderson, you know, coming into the second half, knowing that it's going to be you going the rest of the way, there has to be even more pressure knowing that your defense just got you a big takeaway, and now it's on you to try to make the most of it.
Tanner Anderson ends up getting the handoff, and he ends up being dragged down for a -4. So 4-yard loss. Ball is placed at the 50-yard line, and it's second down at 14. And so far, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Albert, Anderson still does not have a passing attempt.
Correct, he has yet to actually throw the ball. We'll see how that progresses and how they're able to read the Fullerton defense.
Here's Anderson tossing it over towards the sideline. Does get out of the pocket before he tosses that away. So wise job there. That was the passing opportunity. However, for Anderson, it ends up going into pressure almost instantaneously.
Yeah, it's definitely not how you wanted your first passing attempt to actually go down, fumbling the snap, but able to recover and throw it away to prevent further loss.
Damian Bergueno was the one getting the pressure on the far side of the field. If you're Fullerton College, you almost have the opportunity to kind of go 4 down linemen, add an extra guy as well to just stop the run. New quarterback in as Anderson ends up taking a seat, and Sebastian Lopez is going to enter from Nogales High School. 5'11" freshman in the pistol formation. He takes the snap. He looks to hand it off. Can't do so. Gets pressure. Gets away from 1. Gets away from 2. But he will be drugged down for a loss of 4 yards, and it will be a punt coming up for East LA.
Clearly, Lopez has a little bit of wheels on him. He was moving around there, but just couldn't quite break free of the actual defenders, because yes, he was able to. He probably could have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe a little bit more yardage, and probably, you know, punted away from there with a little more, you know, favorable position-wise for the Huskies. But, you know, goes down, takes a sack, unfortunately.
Snap goes back. Kick is away. End over end, bounces near the 30, keeps rolling for East LA. It's going to take a friendly hop down to the 21-yard line. So East LA ends up getting the ball at the Fullerton 46, but they do end up having to kick that one away. And Fullerton College will take over at their own 21-yard line. We're in the third quarter with just about 7.5 left. 16-3, Fullerton College with the lead. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Josiah Jarrett will step back in there. He is getting the start. And Albert, you and I talked about this before the broadcast began, but the reason why he's getting the start is due to a couple of injuries. Fullerton's 2 starting quarterbacks or I should say their starter Toby Schmidt knocked out in the last game. Their backup Max Miller also knocked out as Jared Peters tries to go into a couple. Gets past the first group. He fumbles the football. East LA says they have it. The Huskies asking for it. There's a scrum over to our left as Kavion Bills is getting into it, and East LA has taken away the football.
And
the
shockingly
Huskies
enough,
there
Ryan,
again.
no flag on the play there either, considering that extra activity between Bills and Braylon Story.
And on the back side of the play, on the other side of the field, there is a flag there. So it's a second straight takeaway, a second fumble for Fullerton, and just like that, 3 offensive plays for Fullerton College in the last 2.5 minutes or so, and they have given up the ball twice.
So clearly spoke too soon on the flag there, because it looked like they might have gotten away clear there. It's going to be a personal foul on Fullerton.
So the ball was recovered at the 28-yard line. They are going to mark off the penalty here. It is a personal foul that brings it all the way down to what would have been initially the 28. It brings it down to the 14-yard line, where East LA is in great position to get themselves in this.
So this Husky defense really doing their darndest to give their backup QB the best opportunities possible. They just really have to find that rhythm to get that momentum going.
The quarterback is Sebastian Lopez. Lopez in the pistol. Has 2 backs with him. He's going to hand it off. Nope, he takes it himself. He's over the right side. He's going towards the end zone. He pops out of his hands. Someone's trying to get to it. Fullerton recovers. It's a touchback. He was maybe a foot from being in for a touchdown, and the ball comes loose. It's Fullerton's way. A heartbreak end there to what was a fantastic run for Sebastian Lopez.
And Ryan, this is JUCO football.
You mentioned that. I mean, of the last 5 offensive plays that these two teams have run, well, it's resulted in a couple of turnovers. If you expand it to the last 8 plays, it's 3 turnovers. So now Fullerton is going to get the football at their own 20. What East LA was arguing initially was, did Lopez cross the plane before that ball comes out? But it pops out at about the 3-yard line. So sloppy back and forth time for both these two teams. Honor is going to end up getting the snap. Vakapuna, little collision near side. He helps the other guy up. 6:45 on the clock, and I won't even call this an intriguing day. This has just been a wacky football game at this point.
As we get another flag on the play here, it's going to be false start on the Hornets. That's going to back them up a couple yards.
So East LA trying to get their defense back onto the field. And you know what? If you're the coaching staff for East LA, right now you have the utmost confidence in your guys on the defense side of the football to take that football away. They get a stack here right behind the line of scrimmage. It's a loss of 2. Just as we're talking about the big plays for the defensive side of the team, again, the defensive line steps up. So they have 2 takeaways in their last 2 drives, 3 tackles for loss.
And Ceballos coming up huge there on that tackle with some assistance. And, you know, clearly, you know, your defense for East LA has been humming all night long. And, you know, like if your coach, Nari Robles here, you're telling your whole defensive line, hey, go out there and do it again.
They're trying to keep this rolling. Vakapuna is in the backfield. He's joined by Josiah Jarrett. 3 receivers far side of the field for Fullerton. Near side is Logan Lester. Couple steps back towards the gun. Jarrett is going to hand it off. Vakapuna slams into 2 guys. And Camarena is the one who ends up getting the final tackle on the play. And that's going to end up bringing, if I'm not mistaken, a 4th down and 2 to go from inside Fullerton's own 30-yard line. And Villarreal is going to have to kick it away. So again, the East LA defense doing exactly what they need and gets a stop. We'll read you the possessions from both of these 2 teams like a line score coming up in just a little bit. Villarreal is going to take the football in just a moment. Camarena bluffs that he's going to rush it. They all drop back into coverage. Popped up into the air. It's a high spinner. Floats back to the 40. Fair catch is made by Khalik Johnson. And right at about the 35-yard line instead is where East LA is going to start things off with 4:26 left in the 3rd quarter. 16-3. East LA trails it by 2 scores. You are watching East LA College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Albert, you take a look at these line after line after line of possessions. You look at Fullerton's. Punt, 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 missed field goal. Then they get a touchdown. Punt, touchdown. Punt, fumble, fumble, punt. On the other side for East LA, they are trying to get into this. It's a staunch defense for Fullerton College, but they've got to get themselves into a position to score once again. They had some success with Sebastian Lopez. He had about a 16-yard run that almost ended in a touchdown. He drops back, leaves it towards the near side. It's a catch made by Victor Rodriguez, and he will just get past the line of scrimmage for a gain of 2.
And getting the benefit of the forward progress.
So 2nd down and 8 to go. Sebastian Lopez, 3rd quarterback in for East LA. First one in is Dante Bell, as East LA fans are familiar with throughout the season. He ends up being unfortunately knocked out of the game with an injury. Then Michael Anderson comes in. He ends up getting hit hard, and Sebastian Lopez comes in for him. He's got some positive yardage behind him. Snap is taken. He hands off to Tanner Anderson. Gets past 2, gets past 3, trying to force his way past a 3rd. Almost trucks over 2 once more. And he will get a gain of 3 on the play for a 3rd down, and we'll call it manageable at 5. Under 3:15 left in the 3rd quarter. East LA is more than in this game. Their defense has been phenomenal. Offense has had their moments. First 2 possessions were a punt, make it the 3rd as well. Then they got what initially looked like a 64-yard touchdown. That was wiped out by a penalty. They ended up punting, interception, field goal, safety, punt, and then a fumble. The offense has had their moments, and they can do so here. 3rd down and 5 from the 41-yard line of East LA. Under 2:40 to go. Snap is taken. Was there motion or was there a timeout in time? It was motion on the offensive line, and a false start brings it back to 3rd and 10.
Actually, it's a delay of game called officially by the White Hat, which is just as bad.
Thank you, Albert, for spotting that, because initially I thought it was motion. Then when everyone kind of looked around and tried to figure out what was going on, you get that delay of game penalty.
It looked to be like that's like what Fullerton was gesturing. Like they were giving some points saying, oh, that. But maybe they might have been pointing at the actual play clock saying, hey, it's 0. Where's the whistle?
4 down linemen for Fullerton. Not bringing anyone else. Dropping back to pass to Sebastian Lopez. He tosses near side. It goes to Rodriguez. And Victor Rodriguez will gain 4.5 on the play, but it is not enough for a 1st down. There will be an injury timeout here. So 4th down and 6 to go, 2:29 on the clock, 16-3 the score remains. Now, Bert, earlier you were talking about the out-of-town scoreboard. When you look at the state of California, lots of games going on overall. As you were mentioning at the half, there aren't just games that are impacting Fullerton College and East LA, but you're looking at the overall playoff race in the top 5, having some intriguing scores right now.
Absolutely, and like we'll take a look at those scores in just a moment as I got to pull them back up again. But a lot of teams are moving to 3-0 and 4-0, given when they've actually played their actual game. So there's a lot of really strong teams who have really strong records. So those rankings that we went over at the start of going into the start of the second half, really going to be shaken up when you consider things.
When the down Hornet that was being attended to there was Mohamed Hassaneh. And Hassaneh has been a key factor for Fullerton College's defense over the last 2 years, as the Hornets have relied on him continually. It will be a punt coming up for East LA. Camarena is out there on the coverage. He has been making big plays for East LA throughout the entirety of the night. Kavion Bills over to our left. He will be back to receive. Punt coming up here in just a moment from the 40-yard line. Andrew Murguia gets this one away, pops up, top end over end, kind of side spins its way out towards the 40. Are they going to give him a couple of extra yards? They will actually call it down at the 35-yard line, but a flag is there. They're looking towards Fullerton's sideline, and it looks like it's going to be a hold going against East LA. What was a 25-yard punt now gets clarification, holding on the kicking team. That penalty is declined. First down in favor of Fullerton. So that drive right there started on the ELAC side of the field at their own 35. They end up punting, and Fullerton College will take over from their 38-yard line. Defense being called upon once more. Fullerton College in this second half has not started a series on the ELAC side of the field. Here's Honor going over towards the left side. A big-time hit that is laid right at the 40-yard line. Lots of talking, little pushing and shoving after the fact, as that was a huge hit that was laid upon by Deldrick Madison. And you mentioned him earlier, Albert. Deldrick Madison ended up having a big hit in the first half that helped gain momentum for East LA. He does exactly that again. Only a gain of 2 for Honor, but the big hit there by Madison keeps it manageable. Under 90 seconds left in the third quarter. Fullerton leads it by 13. Honor, this time over right tackle. He gets hit immediately after crossing the line of scrimmage. It's a gain of 2. Third down and 6 to go. One thing for both of these two teams, we have not seen many of the deep defensive backs challenged all that much. So if you're East LA, you're thinking to yourself, our defensive line has been dominating. Our linebackers have been extremely active. Can we get another takeaway here? They've got 2 in the last 3 series. Vakapuna slams into 2, and he gets taken down after the line of scrimmage. There's a penalty in behind the play. Little pushing and shoving, couple hands to the face. There's another penalty flag. One is going to be against Fullerton for sure. The other is going against East LA. So we may just get offsetting personal fouls. East LA got the stop on third down and 6. The officials are going to confer. They have not talked to either sideline, which usually in this case means they offset. Personal foul on the defense. And it is an automatic first down. So it doesn't offset. There aren't 2 penalties called.
Interesting.
Kind of a, well, like you said, interesting call, because we saw 1 flag come out.
Then there was like
actions
2 or 3
took place,
afterwards.
and like you said, 2 to 3 different penalty flags came out, so they only march out the one. and it is plus 15 yards in favor of Fullerton. 40.6 on the clock, 16-3 is our score. The Fullerton College Hornets are trying to get one more score and really get themselves a good manageable lead. Elvis Vakapuna in the backfield. Wagner is the tight end on the right side. Logan Lester near side. Kavion Bills in the slot on the far side of the field. Snap is taken. It goes to Vakapuna. He looks over to his left, trying to get around the edge. He gets to the 40, down to the 35, into the 30. Finally gets taken down at the 29-yard line. That's a first down. You mentioned the chippiness earlier in this one with 8.7 left on the clock. I believe that should take us to the end of the third quarter. But the chippiness, aggressiveness, and the bickering back and forth between these two sides continues to increase. As we go to the final frame of play, it's 16-3. East LA trying to get themselves back to within one score. They're down by 13. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. East LA talking to their coaching staff, asking for the flags. There's a lot of pushing and shoving going on after the play. Both teams have been penalized for skirmishes, but we haven't seen anything really cross the line so far. Just a lot of guys going back and forth, pushing and shoving. But it has increased more and more as the game has gone along. Both these two sides very competitive. East LA going up against a team that before the season started was ranked number 5 in the country. After last week, they got pushed back to number 12, but nonetheless, this is one of the best defenses in the state of California. East LA and their defense has done more than well. In fact, they have been phenomenal in this game. They have forced Fullerton College to punt 7 different occasions. They have taken the football away twice, 2 times in the last 4 series for Fullerton. So 15 minutes on the clock. East LA's defense trying to hold here. It's a first down after the Vakapuna run. Romero not in there on the defensive line set. Camarena, linebacker, moving towards the middle. Takes a couple steps to his left. There's Vakapuna getting hit immediately. Isaacs will take him down. He has a couple words for Vakapuna. And Isaacs with his 3rd tackle for loss of this game. That's a 3-yard loss for Fullerton. And you're in the territory at this point with Villarreal. You've got to get a few more yards just to make sure you're in field goal position. And while you're also searching for that first down, make sure you're on his side of where his career long is. Fullerton needs points to make it a 3-score game. Handoff is there, far side of the field, getting towards the edge, but only gaining about 3 will end up being Graylin Kelly. And Kelly is tackled there by Madison. So the 29-yard line is where Fullerton has a 3rd down and 10 to go. They've got to make the 19. East LA's defense looking to get another stop. They have done so successfully on each of Fullerton's last 4 series, including 2 takeaways. Power I for Fullerton. Vakapuna in the backfield. Takes it right up the middle. Pass 2, pass 3. He breaks another. Still trying to work his way towards the goal line. Gets to the 5. That's a first down. And into scoring position go the Hornets as they have a 1st and goal from the 6. However, things will stop momentarily. Taking a look in the backfield, there is a flag. Does this wipe out the run? Personal foul defense, and that will not do anything as it will end up being contact with the head. And after the personal foul, it's a first down nonetheless. It inches the Hornets just a little bit closer. East LA oh so close to getting themselves off the field, but now Fullerton College is inside the 10-yard line. They've got a 1st and goal to go from the 8. Peters in the backfield. He's got an up back. They're going to move it towards the left hash mark. If I'm not mistaken, That is O.J. Jones as the up back. Double check on that in a second. Timeout is taken by East LA. So the defense for East LA has been great all night. They have come up with stop after stop. They've got a couple of takeaways to their credit as well. They have been in the backfield continuously. Isaacs has had a great game. Camarena has had a great game. Fleischhood has also been there as well. But with 13:32 on the clock, it is very, very simple. They need to stop Fullerton College from getting into the end zone on this drive. If Fullerton College gets into the end zone, that makes it a 23-3 game. And at that point, that is a 3-score game with under 13 minutes to go. But if they're able to hold them to just a field goal, that's 19-3, a 16-point difference. You're still within 2 scores. So the defense has to be good here for East LA once again. A 1st and goal for Fullerton College, the 1-1 East LA Huskies, coming off of a 40-27 loss to Allen Hancock, trying to get themselves back in. 2 receivers set for Fullerton College. They've got an up back in addition to Jared Peters as the running back. 7 guys on the line for Fullerton. Moving towards the right, ball gets dropped for a moment as Josiah Jarrett falls on it, trying to get to the football but not able to reach for it is Roberto Ceballos. And Jarrett is slow to get up. He has taken a few hits in this matchup that have been jarring to say the least. And he has been able to absorb each one of them and go back out onto the field. That ends up being a loss of 3 on the play for Fullerton College, so now it's a 2nd and goal from the 11. Near side of the field for Fullerton College is Quentin Henry Jr. Far side of the field, looks like it is Lester. Peters the running back. Here's Jarrett. They motion towards the left. Defensive line stacks for a second. Peters is going to get through to the 2nd level. Gets all the way down to the 5, but there is a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage on the far side of the field. Camarena having to be pulled aside from a Fullerton College offensive lineman. And it looked like he was talking to, I believe, it was Vasquez Roca. Whitehead is going to get a signal from the line judge far side. Peters also talking with his coaching staff. Whitehat says offsides on the defense. And it will be a 5-yard penalty. So they'll march it off. That ends up going right to the 6-yard line. And now with 12:30 on the clock, Albert, this game has slowed a lot more. Fullerton College, as we mentioned, all they need is a touchdown to go up 3 scores. If East LA can hold them to a field goal, they are still within 2.
Yeah, they just got to get that critical stop. They've been able to do it most of the game, but unfortunately some of these penalties have really been hampering their ability to take away on this drive.
Slight motion towards the left. East LA trying to sell out. Here's Peters looking for the corner. Touchdown, Fullerton. East LA is not thrilled. The East LA coaching staff and players on the field are going to talk to the official. They thought they had him out of bounds at the 3-yard line. A flag is going to be thrown. And if you're looking at it from East LA's perspective, at least from my vantage point, granted, we're sitting here close to 80 yards away from the play if you take the height into account. But it looked initially like they had him out of bounds at the 3. The extra lunge there allows for Peters to get in.
Yeah, I mean, like body-wise, looked, it might have been out. Maybe the legs were probably still in. Almost, from my vantage point, working the camera there, came close to a horse collar tackle, but they didn't actually bring him down. So it looks like he might have actually avoided that call altogether, but came very close to being out of bounds. And, of course, they draw the unsportsmanlike conduct, trying to argue as such.
And a little bit more than that as Isaacs just got tossed out of this game. Isaacs just got tossed a few moments ago. I'm not sure if he made contact with the official as he's walking by him. And there was initially a flag on this side, which was an unsportsmanlike conduct. They called it on the near sideline, so it was going to be enforced on the kickoff. As Isaacs is walking past the white hat, it was either something he said or he made contact on his way through. The white hat throws his flag and motions that he has been disqualified from the game. And Isaacs walks to the sideline, and the officials and coaching staff for East LA having a conversation. They thought it was incidental because East LA thought Isaacs wasn't facing the official when it happened. So when the official turned, it becomes that incidental contact. Instead, it is contact with an official or abuse of official that causes Isaacs to be tossed out of this game. So that is a huge blow for East LA going forward. Snap is there. Villarreal is able to kick this one through. That's going to make it a 23-3 game as Fullerton College extends their lead with just under 12 minutes to play in this fourth quarter. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net.
And Isaacs, getting ejected from the game is just going to make this an even better loss altogether, knowing that you're down 3 scores and you've lost one of your biggest defensive playmakers altogether. It's just going to hurt that much more. And, Ryan, you had mentioned earlier the scores going on the rankings all across the 3C2A. Went back just a moment ago, looked at the actual scores, some of the final tallies, and looked at the top 10. So San Mateo, they were ranked number 1, started off 2-0. They took an L today. They're now 2-1. Mount Sac, they remain undefeated. Golden West, they lost to San Diego Mesa. They're now 2-1. Butte, they stay undefeated. They're 3-0. Riverside, 1-1. They're currently up against El Camino, so they're underway to actually go to 2-1 if they can hold off El Camino College. Modesto, they beat San Mateo, so they're now 3-0. Fresno remains undefeated. SD Mesa undefeated. They're at 3-0. American River, they're down in their current game. They could be 1-2 by the end of the night. Ventura College, they're currently up over Cerritos 36-25. At least that's when I had checked the actual score. So they could potentially be 2-1 by the end of the night. Those are your top 10 currently. So with some of those changes, there definitely could be a bit of a shakeup within your top 10 rankings by the end of the night.
So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up going down and playing. So as we look at what we can say is the replay here, unofficially, Isaacs ends up talking to the official, and the official throws the flag to toss him. So something was said that ended up allowing for that to happen as Fullerton recovers the kickoff. That ball was inbounds. It took a funny hop. East LA thought it was going to take off past the sideline on the far side of the field, and immediately Fullerton College is able to get to it in time. A high hopper, and Fullerton will get it back. It's a well-placed kick there by Villarreal, and the special teams for Fullerton College gives the football right back to Fullerton.
And that's just salt in the wound, knowing how good your defense and special teams has been performing all night. And for Fullerton, this was that opportunity for them to really step up on their special teams side and really prevent East LA from doing any further damage. Not that they've been able to do a whole lot altogether, but they're really making a statement.
Timeout East LA. As Fullerton College is going to take over from the 13-yard line, make it the 12-yard line, and that will end up being a Fullerton College possession that allows for them to really extend their lead if they get the chance. With 11:59 left, 23-3 is our score. Fullerton College with the lead. You are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne, Albert Robles, and don't forget, as we mentioned earlier, and I have the guy for East LA College football over to my left, Albert, SportsNetUSA.net doesn't just have Fullerton football, not just East LA football. There's a lot of things going on, not just today, but in the future here on SportsNetUSA.net.
Absolutely, so be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you get all the notifications for all our broadcasts. Like Ryan said, we don't just do football, we do volleyball, we do soccer, we do basketball, we do softball, we do baseball. We do all sorts of community college athletics to support these bright young student athletes and give them the highlight that others don't actually get to have.
Supporting the student athlete, making sure that community college sports is brought to you and the community. That is sportsnetusa.net. Elvis Vakapuna is going to get a handoff, and he will find himself into the end zone for a touchdown. And Vakapuna will extend the lead for Fullerton College. It's going to make it a 29-3 lead for Fullerton as they not only extend it with that one. I mean, you're looking at it, that's a large deficit to come back from.
Absolutely, and, you know, it's certainly possible that East LA can at least get a point or two on the actual board, but with the loss of Dante Bell, the offense just hasn't been able to connect with his loss. You know, credit to Lopez, you know, trying to get things moving. He had a few completions, but really he just hasn't been able to get it going altogether. We'll see how it looks, you know, for ELAC going forward in the remaining games. But tonight it's really just trying to get your reps in, seeing what you can do and seeing where your holes are to try to make the next game as best as it can be.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it for East LA, there's a lot of things, like you said, trying to make it the best that you can be going forward. There's a lot of things you can pick up on. You're looking at Sebastian Lopez, who multiple times when he had the football, we saw him give those flashes of brilliance, right? Yes, he does fumble into the end zone. It ends up being a touchback, but also on the same play, he had two good fake outs, a solid read that allowed him to get into the clear and get towards the end zone. When he's bringing it up on his own side of the field, he ends up getting a first down. They're able to get some positive yardage. So if you don't end up having Dante Bell maybe next week or in the immediacy going forward, you at least have the opportunity to know you've got a couple of solid backups. Michael Anderson, yes, he ends up being knocked out of this game as well, but he managed the game well. He was able to get the ball over, make some solid reads too, and then you have Sebastian Lopez that you can rely on going forward. So, like you said, you have things that you can look forward to going forward. This defense, phenomenal. They played
absolutely
fantastic tonight. Yes, the last three do end up going to scores, but that's not necessarily the defense's fault as a whole, because as a group, they looked great.
And, you know, like the score says, you know, Fullerton was dominating this game, but in reality, that is simply not the case. Like it only really became a bit of a blowout in the second half with the loss of the Huskies quarterback and the inability to be able to make it work in the passing game. And, you know, when you're only able to default to the running game, the opposing defense can see right through it. You don't really have a whole lot of options to go to.
Yeah, and it's a tough one, too, because you look at it and you think to yourself, all right, you're playing with a top 15 ranked team. You have an excellent opportunity to get yourself not only in it, but you have a chance to take a lead earlier in the game. And like you said, the penalties are what's going to end up costing them at the end, right? Go back to the first quarter of play. They get a 64-yard touchdown run that ends up getting wiped off because of a holding call. Twice they have had defensive stops on third down where they get the stop, but due to a penalty, whether after the ball or just during the run of play, they end up not being able to get themselves off the field. As Sebastian Lopez gets past two on the spin, he'll get just past the line of scrimmage for a gain of 1.
You know, Ryan, and twice they force a fumble and recovery
right,
and unable to capitalize on it. So it's not like East LA hasn't had their chances to really make good defensively, because like they've been in it every single time, coming up with key stops, with key sacks, with key two key fumble recoveries. Unfortunately, on one of those plays, they actually do fumble it right back over to them. But, you know, the defense has been there. This is definitely, you know, the main takeaway is that your defense was absolutely there. The offense is pretty much going to be putting in the work this whole week to try and see what you can come up with to combat your future opponent.
Fake handoff. Here's Lopez trying to get past two. He ends up running right back into pressure. That's going to be a loss of at least 6. And it goes from a 2nd down and 9 to go to about a, we'll call it a 3rd down and 15.
And, you know, with Dante Bell having been, you know, the primary back and the guy who's been taking all the actual snaps, you know, we're not really sure what the capability is of Sebastian Lopez. They haven't really let him throw the ball a whole lot. Like maybe I can probably count
think
on
of
one
2.
hand the number of times he's actually thrown the ball. I know he's got at least 2 completions.
Yep.
But, you know, like it's either you haven't taken enough snaps for, you know, Coach Robles to really have the confidence in you letting it rip. So that's definitely going to be a point of emphasis, you know, when he's when he's most likely going to be taking a lot of the key snaps and reps coming into practice this week.
And the difficulty is you also have to look at it playbook-wise, right, too, as this is going to be a penalty going against East LA. If I'm not mistaken, that is a delay of game against the offense to make it a 3rd down and about 20 to go. But you have to go with different play call styles, right? Because you have Dante West, and the way that he manufactures an offense or runs an offense is very different than the way that Michael Anderson or Sebastian Lopez run an offense. They have different skill sets, different mentalities, and different ways that they can get positive yardage. So if you're looking at it from a play calling perspective, it's tough too, because you have to change the books a little bit. Not only do you have to change it in terms of skill set between guy to guy, but this is the middle of a game too. So it's not like you had a week to prepare to say, all right, Sebastian, Michael, we're going to plan around you. We're going to go with your skill set. We know what you like to do. Let's go with that. Instead, it switches up and you say, okay, our offense was ready to do X, Y, and Z, but now you have to flip it to a more conservative style because you're right in the middle of a game.
Absolutely, especially when you consider the fact that, you know, Sebastian Lopez, he's 3rd guy up. Like you're planning for at least, maybe not planning, but like you at least take into consideration what would happen if Bell's out, knowing you're going to go to Michael Anderson. He was doing a relatively good job, but unfortunately he got knocked out, and now you got to roll with Sebastian Lopez. So, you know, like it's definitely have been the most negative game script you can possibly have, right, with your offense, and like it's just a really unfortunate sequence of events altogether, especially when you consider, you know, the already interesting game script for Fullerton coming into this game, knowing that they too are also on their backup back.
Ball goes down to about the 44-yard line. Where it is down, there is a flag in behind the play, raising his hands and saying, hey, you know what, that was not on me, is Roberto Ceballos. And he may be correct on this one. Personal foul going against Fullerton College. That is a 1st down, a dead ball foul. So they will call it after the play is over. And Fullerton will take over at the 44-yard line of East LA. So the offense trots back onto the field. We will see if it is the exact same offensive set for Fullerton College. That is to be determined. As of right now, I do not see a quarterback. And the reason why is because their 3rd-string running back, Jared Peters, is going to take the snap. Logan Lester, far side of the field. Bills in the slot near side along with Aiden Bravo. Snap is taken. Peters is going to take it. He's going to run right up the middle. Gets past the initial line of scrimmage, still spinning his way past 2 more. And he gets a gain of 12 on the play to bring it down to the 41-yard line. Flag comes in way late afterwards. So this is going to be a dead ball foul. The question is, who does it go against with 9:20 on the clock? White Hat gets the call. He's going to walk up. Unsportsmanlike conduct against the defense. And they will end up having to march it back. So it was going to be stopped at what we thought was going to be about the 41-yard line. Brings it all the way down to the 26-yard line, a 15-yard penalty against East LA. And when you take a look at the finals from tonight, you know, you look at it, Albert, and you talked about it. The penalties were an issue, but you're going to look at these finals after the end of the night and say, you know what, the game story is right there. East LA trying to get an explanation from the officials. They're not thrilled with what the call is. And we thought it was motion initially. They just kind of stopped the play for a moment. Here's Jared Peters, left side. Goes into 2, finds some more contact, still pushing his way forward. Forward progress brings them down to the 15, 16-yard line. So Peters will see another penalty flag come out. And this one is going to go against Ceballos for pulling someone off the pile. So that should be another 15-yard penalty.
And these are those moments that you just hate to see, Ryan, you know, where your players just start falling apart mentally with the frustration of the game and how it's been going. I know it hasn't gone your way, but, like, you know, as a team, as a defensive unit, you guys have been performing so well all night. Like, don't let the offensive woes and the struggles get a hold of you.
This one ends up actually being against Fullerton College, so it's not going to be pulling someone off the pile. Initially, that's what we thought it was. After the near side official threw the flag, far side official comes in and says, hey, you know what, wait, hold on a second. We got a little extra here, as an official's timeout is going to be had. They want to have a quick conversation. Fullerton with a 27-point lead in the fourth quarter of play. Ryan Osborne, Albert Robles here on the call with you, and the officials are kind of having a discussion between themselves and the East LA sideline. The far side officials are also going to go over to talk to Brian Crooks and Phil Austin as well. Well, I'll be completely honest. I have no idea what the conversation is about. Usually you're able to kind of speculate, hey, it might be a clock issue, it might be a field position issue. They're not sure on what the penalties are, but we're truly just not sure at the moment.
I mean, it could be just getting some clarification on some of the officiating. So I think at least on East LA side, they have been lobbying at least, hey, you know, why isn't this getting called? Like, they're clearly frustrated on the sideline at the lack of certain officiating calls. So maybe they're just trying to get some clarification on that. Maybe do some lobbying, try and say, hey, you know, Fullerton's being lined up like as, you know, this way. They're doing this. Look out for that. Please call that because this is what's going on. You're not catching it.
So the officials still talking, far side of the field. They're going to continue to have that conversation with Brian Crooks, who doesn't seem all too happy with what he is being told at the current moment. So now the question is, hey, what is the conversation like between both of these two sidelines and the officiating? Both these teams 1-1, trying to get back into the win column once more. Both sidelines talked to. White Hat getting himself back into position, and it looks like we are going to be set to go once again. We'll say the last 2 minutes of play have taken about 15, 16 minutes.
That sounds about right. It's been one of those games, and it's been one of those quarters where, you know, things just, I don't want to say fall apart, where they just get really interesting in terms of the game script, in terms of the officiating calls, and just the level of aggression and frustration that you see on either side of the ball.
So it will be a 1st and 10 for Fullerton College. So what happens there is Fullerton gets the first down. After the first down, there is a personal foul against Fullerton College, unsportsmanlike conduct, that pushes them back to the 31-yard line. Jared Peters bounces off of two would-be tacklers, gets himself all the way down the sideline, and he will bounce out of bounds right at about the 16-yard line. His sideline is quite pumped, as there was a little bit of a stiff arm right at the end of that run. And Fullerton currently going with no traditional quarterback, if you will. Jared Peters is listed as a running back for Fullerton. He does a lot of returning in the kicking game for the Hornets, and he has gotten handoffs in both this week, last week, and Santa Barbara's matchup. So no traditional quarterback in there for Fullerton, but the Hornets are taking the snap with Peters, and he's taking the direct dive. He'll take it himself. He gets wrapped up in the backfield and immediately goes down. Tackle will be made by Omar Garcia. Actually, excuse me, that's going to go Jahari Woolley. Clock winding down to about 8 minutes left in this one. 30-3, Fullerton College with the lead. Fullerton very content to just keep running this ball and letting the clock wind down. Peters giving word to the offensive line on exactly what's going to take place. 2 receivers set near side of the field for Fullerton, 1 receiver far side. Peters is going to wind this all the way down. He's got 5 on the play clock. And again, the Hornets very happy to just run this one out. Here's Peters, gets past 2, sidesteps a third, into the end zone for a touchdown. Fullerton on the board once again. They go from 30 to 36. And Jared Peters once again is in the end zone for Fullerton. So after so many stops by this East LA defense, the last few series for Fullerton College, they have gotten into the end zone. And they have put up just about 20 points in the last, we'll call it 8.5 minutes of regulation play. And again, it's not really necessarily on the play of the defense traditionally. It's just all about the yellow handkerchief that comes out that kind of hurts not only the defense, but Fullerton College, or excuse me, East LA College's offense has gotten a couple personal fouls too. Then you go back to that kickoff where Fullerton recovers it at the 14-yard line. And it just ends up going one thing after another. And very quickly you find yourself at a deficit. So 37-3 is our score. Fullerton with the lead. A 34-point advantage with 7:30 on the clock. Plenty of time for East LA at this point to try and get themselves a good offensive series, something that you can build upon going into next week. And speaking of next week for East LA, they will end up playing Golden West College, where a big celebration is going to take place right here in Weingardt Stadium. We'll get some more on that in just a second as this ball is kicked away. High floater, Viorel is looking for that same result from last time. Quick little return, maybe about 2 yards, and downed at the 27-yard line. East LA will begin their series. But don't forget, if you are an East LA football fan, all the years that you have watched these Huskies, you remember that magical 1974 season. A team that went 9-1, got themselves into the state playoff. They go to the state championship game. They beat San Jose City College in the championship game and get the state championship to be home at Weingardt Stadium for the first and only time in program history. It's 50 years, the anniversary. That will be the celebration coming up next week. So if you are an East LA fan, a friend, a family member, or just in general you love to watch these Huskies, come on out, as it will be a 50th anniversary celebration for the 1974 state championship football team. As this one is picked up, slid down by Sebastian Lopez. But again, going back to that state championship football team, you had guys like Kane, who ended up going on to have great success at USC in the backfield, going on to play with the Atlanta Falcons, multiple NFLers for this team in 1974. Remember, you go back the season before 1973, that was a 1-9 team. 1-9 team for East LA, and then afterwards, they don't start the season necessarily as explosive as they would like, but they run the gauntlet the rest of the way. They get a loss in the early going, they get a tie as well, and then they find themselves the rest of the way just running the table and finding themselves with a state championship. And if you're looking at it from a community college standpoint, Albert, you and I have talked about it multiple times on this broadcast. SportsNetUSA.net is the leader of community college sports because the big thing about community college sports is that first word, community. 1974, this football team got a state championship that they could bring to this community, and they are going to celebrate it next year for the 50th anniversary. So big moment for this East LA College football team, the athletic program as a whole, we invite you to come out here as next week again. 6 p.m., that's when the game will start. There will be plenty of festivities, and that 1974 50th anniversary state championship team will end up being honored here at Weingardt Stadium. Here's a toss that just goes too far for Lamont White. Sebastian Lopez spotted his wide receiver just out in front, and excuse me, that was going to go to Brandon Hidon, and Hidon just sees that one land too far out in front of him.
Yeah,
Clock
easily
will
one of
stop.
the best looks that Lopez has had all night offensively. Just couldn't quite get the connection to Hidon.
Oh, so close. This ball is going to be kicked away here in just a couple of moments. Kavion Bills is going to be back to receive once more for Fullerton. He's standing at his own 45. 5:48 left in this one. Ball goes back, kicked into the air. It is blocked. Picked up by East LA for a moment, but the tackle is made, and that will end up giving Fullerton possession at the 12-yard line. So the second half just doesn't go the way that East LA would like it to. In unfortunate circumstance after unfortunate circumstance, and now, unfortunately, you do have an East LA Husky who does need to be attended to. So you look at it from East LA's perspective, just a tough second half when you did so well in that first half. First 2 quarters of play, you're right in this thing. You're only down by a couple of scores going into the half. And honestly, Albert, if you take away the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds of the first half, you take away 2 minutes and 47 seconds in between the third quarter and the fourth quarter. This is a Fullerton College East LA game that is separated by no more than 6 points.
Absolutely. And, you know, East LA definitely had their chances offensively. They had 2 great red zone opportunities. One, they actually got into the end zone. That was taken away, you know, by an unfortunate holding call. And they almost got into an end zone, but unfortunately fumbled it away. And, you know, Fullerton ended up recovering. So, like, the offensive opportunities were definitely there, just unfortunately handcuffed by some ill-timed mistakes and errors that maybe were some in control, some not in control. Because, like, yes, I know that there was a fumble, but that most likely would have been stripped away. Not exactly, oh, I fumbled it going to the ground. Because, you know, like, that fumble, I think, made contact with at least about 3 defenders altogether. So definitely somebody who probably, like, you know, got a punch in there, got a hand in there, just kind of ripped it off, especially when you're getting, you know, tossed and turned and ripped away, trying to get to that goal line. So much can happen in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and you look at it, Jared Peters ends up getting a rush for about 4 yards, making it a 2nd down and 6 to go. This is an East LA team with a great future ahead of them, and we're not talking about in the distant future or next year. This year, this defense is ready this year. This defense has proven more than a few times in this matchup that they can compete against this Fullerton College team that was ranked in the top 15. But now you look at it and you say, all right, next week we have an excellent chance on the 50th anniversary game to face Golden West College. Not just make a statement, but get yourself an opportunity to get back in not just the win column, but momentum-wise, right? You had your moments in this game. You can add to it in that next matchup next week. And you get a home game. You get the alumni coming back too. You get that sense of overall program pride, and you carry it on through the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And, you know, yes, you know, the score is definitely starting to run up now, and your defense, you know, had been performing all night. But when you get to, you know, this late stage of the game, if your defense is on the field all the time, doesn't matter how good they are, eventually they just reach the point where they're just gassed.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much that you can give, especially even when you start working down to your second and third stringers to kind of save your first stringers a little bit. Like, that's just what ends up happening. You kind of save, you know, your first string guys. You throw some of the other guys out there, see what they can do defensively, because that's just how the game script is, you know, actually going at this point. So, yes, the score is definitely lopsided now. It did not look that way going into the half. Eventually, the defense got gassed. We had an unfortunate ejection on the side of Isaacs, and he was one of your big guys on the defensive line. It's like when you lose an impact player like that, it just further compounds the issue which has been going on this whole game.
And the thing, too, is that when you look at it, it's like you mentioned, right? You get the ejection, you get a defense that's tired. how many times have we heard from defensive guys in football where you talk to them and you say, what's the most tired you've been? Or how can a defense become tired? And they always say against a run-heavy offense, that is where you start to get the most tired. Your legs start to burn a lot more. You start breathing a lot more heavy because you have to do those initial pushes. You have to get yourself into the backfield to stop things. And if you got a team like Fullerton, which has, for the most part, done about 80 to 85% of their offensive plays as running plays, it's tough to have a defense stay out there for as long as they have. And, of course, most of that is out of your control due to injury. You have a couple guys knocked out of a game, and there's not much you can do in that sense as this one's floated over towards the sideline. Fullerton almost gets it back. They do indeed do so. So Fullerton's going to get it back at the 38-yard line, and the Hornets are going to take possession again. That is not necessarily an onside kick, but a little floater by Villarreal. And that is the second recovery for Fullerton College off of a kickoff.
Fullerton just, throwing salt into the wound. And Ryan, like you mentioned, what makes, a defense tired. And you say, a run-heavy offense. Looking at the just pure numbers and yards here all together, total net yards rushing on behalf of the Fullerton offense, 257 yards to ELAC's 55. 45 total rushing attempts for Fullerton.
Yeah, and that's, you always hear the cliche, recipe for disaster, right? The more that they kept running, Fullerton kept putting themselves in a position to wear down this defense. They did exactly that. They're going to take possession here with Peters taking the snap. He runs off tackle to the right, and he is gone. Touchdown, Fullerton College, and one play, and he is in the end zone. A little bit after the play as both teams starting to get their frustrations out, and Fullerton is going to add 6 to their totals. Peters talking to someone in the end zone as well. And for Fullerton College, not only do they get the recovery, well, actually, there's going to be a penalty in the backfield. That's actually going to bring it all the way back. So the score comes off the board for Fullerton, and I believe it might have been a holding call. Officials announce it. They will now walk it back. And this ball is now going to be placed at the 46-yard line. So Peters almost had himself a 37-yard rush for a touchdown. Instead, that gets taken off the board. 4:21 left in the fourth quarter of play. 44-3 is our score. 41-point difference, as that's going to be motion on the offensive line, I believe, of Fullerton College. That's exactly what it is. So coming up here on SportsNetUSA.net, if you are an East LA fan, we already mentioned next week the 50th anniversary celebration of the 1974 state championship team. That is a matchup against Golden West College. That's right here on SportsNetUSA.net at 6 p.m. We will have all the coverage of that coming up next week. After that, the next home game for the East LA Huskies will be against Long Beach. That'll be October the 17th. That's a Thursday night. So if you're coming here on Saturday, well, let me tell you, you won't see East LA College. You're going to see maybe other people, but it won't be East LA College. It will be a Thursday night. That is the 17th of October, the third annual Clash of the Presidents Cup. So another festivity going on here at East LA. That will be against Long Beach, and it will be a 7 p.m. start. So not the usual 6 p.m. It will be a 7 p.m. So next week is 6. October the 17th will be 7. And then wrapping up the home games for East LA will be all the way in November. Far away from now, but you look at it over the course of a season. Saturday, November the 2nd, that will be versus Citrus at 1 p.m. So different start times for each of the next few games, but a Citrus team that is going to definitely be ranked in the top 15 coming out of this upcoming week. So that's the upcoming matchups here on SportsNetUSA.net for your East LA Huskies. Here's Peters going over towards the right. He gets wrapped up and taken down just about at the line of scrimmage. Clock continues to wind down. And for East LA, there will be plenty of opportunities to get yourself back in it. defense out there for East LA. On the other side for Fullerton, most of the 2s and 3s in there. Jared Peters still taking the snap at the moment. He's also joined in the backfield by Joseph Mendez. Mendez just off to the left hip. Peters takes the snap. East LA bringing everyone. Here's a chance, a stiff arm there for Peters. He tries to get to the outside, and he's taken down out of bounds as Peters is still wrapped up. Both sides kind of getting into it, just trying to peel everyone away from each other. On the sideline, nothing too much going on. There is a flag in behind the play, and we'll see who it ends up going against as the sideline for East LA gets told they got to stay on the sideline. You know, for an extracurricular activity, if you will, skirmish, not too much happened there. Both guys everyone just kind of piled on each other.
Yeah, I mean, like it was Dalen Story who had made the tackle and, forced him out of bounds. But, when they were actually on the ground, he was just kind of there, just kind of bracing himself. He was not trying to actually make any additional contact, wasn't trying to, throw his arms around or anything like that. It was just an excessive pile-on that just got a little bit out of hand.
East LA coaching staff being told that they need to just, hey, let's all take a deep breath and make sure that we have an opportunity to relax here. Lots of discussions being had at the moment. 2:21 left to go in this matchup. And if you're looking at it from the eyes of a Husky fan, you have plenty to look forward to next week. I mean, we already talked about the 50th anniversary celebration that's going to be coming up. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that 1974 was a magical season overall, if you're looking at it from a program perspective, because 1974, the football team won a state title, and the men's soccer team also won a state title.
Absolutely. So, big year 1974, for those two programs, for the football team and for the men's, soccer team. And, who knows, what's in the future, but, I'm sure a lot of ELAC faithful here would like to kind of see a return to those days. You never know what can happen, in sports, especially with how collegiate programs have progressed, especially with just, health sciences, things like that.
Right.
They, I believe, have changed a lot of how, athletics looks in general, not just at the collegiate level, just all around, starting from, your very young youth programs.
I mean, just look at East LA and how they performed after the Fullerton game last year. I mean, they really not only stepped it up as a program, but they got some really crucial wins that sent shockwaves across Southern California and affected a lot of teams' playoff positioning.
Absolutely. I mean, East LA did well enough to actually get a bowl game last year. Like that was a first bowl game in a long time. So clearly the program is doing things right.
Officials are going to run this to a 2-minute timeout. When we come back from the 2-minute timeout, it will be Fullerton College 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line of East LA. As we come to the final stages of this one, 44-3 is our score. Fullerton College with the lead, but you are watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne, Albert Robles. Earlier we were talking about what to look forward to if you are an East LA fan. You look at the overall stats in this one. Of course, it starts to get away just a little bit from East LA, and it ends up going to Fullerton College's favor. As this night continues to click along, you'll start to see more East LA opportunity to see who you have in your 2s, 3s, 4s, get themselves some game action as well. You get to kind of get the opportunity to see who you can play in the future going forward. And this is those chances where if you got freshmen, young guys in the lineup who haven't had that chance to play at the collegiate level, this is their chance to get out there and get some active game reps. Peters is going to take the snap once again for Fullerton. The 5'10" sophomore out of Florissant, Missouri. Went to Hazelwood Central. 2 minutes left in this one. Snap is taken. Peters is going to take a knee, and he will wind the clock down. So for the most part, this one is going to be kind of wrapped up here. 40-second play clock. This will run it down to about a minute and 19 seconds left on the play clock. You add an additional 40 seconds underneath that. You're looking at about 40 seconds overall. And one more kneel down after that will finish us off for the night. So, Albert, you look at this one. We've already talked about what the defense can do, what the offense can do, what you can look forward to. But just in general, you've played sports. You know what a game like this feels like. Everyone who has played sports has been in a game like this. Is this one of the easier types of games to just say, you know what, erased, move on?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if it was a little more, a little more of a nail biter, if it had stayed the same score like it was, where they were within 2 scores, that would be that much more frustrating of a game, knowing that it really was in your grasp the whole time. Looking at this, you can be like, you know what? We had a chance, and then eventually we didn't. We gave it our all. On to the next. Like you do have to kind of have that, be a goldfish mentality. Just have that, reported 10-second memory and just kind of start focusing on the next week. And, start seeing what you can do in practice. Go over the tape, see what was done right, and learn from it.
So snap is taken. The kneel down is there. They no longer have to do anything. Fullerton and East LA are going to separate. No handshakes here, just so that way, if there are any frustrations on either side, you do not have to worry about it in the afterwards handshakes. Both coaching staffs are going to end up getting their own handshakes in out of respect. And for both these two teams, they finish up a series of 1-1, home and home. Our final score in this one, 44-3 is the final. As Fullerton College takes a victory, they go to 2-1. On the other side for East LA, they end up dropping this one, and they will end up going to 1-2. Don't forget that next week, the 50th anniversary celebration of the 1974 National Championship, State Championship here in the state of California will take place on a game that starts at 6 p.m. So join us right here on SportsNetUSA.net as we will have that live against Golden West College right here at 6 p.m. For Albert Robles, I'm Ryan Osborne, thanking you for joining us. Our final score, 44-3, Fullerton with the win over top of East LA. You've been watching East LA College football here on SportsNetUSA.net.